Be excellent to each other and party on. We're back for another Legacy League, and today we're playing Esper Dreadnought. That's right, I've played Blue-Black Dreadnought. I've played Blue-White Dreadnought, and today I'm asking the question, why not both? Why not have both black and white in your Dreadnought deck? And I think the main reason for white is you've got Swords of Plowshares, you've got an extra enabler in Doorkeeper Thrull. The main argument for black is you've got Psychic Frog, which is just a ridiculously powerful card. So let's talk about the mana base. First of all, we do have a single basic. I love playing two basics, but I think when you're trying to play a 3-color deck, you really can't play multiple basics unless you're playing like a 20 land deck that doesn't have Wasteland and stuff. And we do have Wasteland in here. We've got 19 lands. I think this mana base is very responsible. Every single fetch can fetch every single dual land. 9 fetches, 7 fetchables, 3 wastelands. So let's talk about the composition of the threat suite. We have 4 Tamiyo. We have 4 Psychic Frog. Dreadnought, of course, if you're unfamiliar with this, as long as you can stop the initial trigger that makes it sacrifice itself to itself, you can, and you can do that with Stifle, Dress Down, or Doorkeeper Thrull. As long as you stop that, you've got a 12/12 Trampler. 1 mana. Pretty good. Nulldrifter. This card is also quite strong, and you can evoke it, which is 3 mana, which is a little steeper, but assuming you can stop the sacrifice trigger from the evoke, you get a 4/4 flying creature that draws you 2 cards upon cast. This is not something that gets removed by Dress Down because it gets applied on the stack. And yes, this creature has Annihilator 1, meaning whenever it attacks, your opponent has to sacrifice a permanent. Very powerful mini Emrakul effect. So not bad for 2 colorless and 1 blue, and it's worth noting that drawing 2 cards will flip Tamiyo. So it becomes kind of an express elevator to Tamiyo's Seasoned Scholar, the back half Planeswalker version of Tamiyo here. And of course, we've got 4 Stifle, which is just a great all-around tempo card. We've got 3 days. I'm being conservative on the dazes and not playing all 4. And of course, we got the 4 forces, the Cantrip Suite. Again, best removal ever printed in Swords of Plowshares. And we're also playing several of the second best or third best, one of the best removal spells ever printed in the sideboard. We're playing 3 Prismatic Ending. You can only access this when you have white in your deck, and generally you want to be playing a 3-color deck when you're playing this, so you can potentially hit 3 drops. So this can deal with all kinds of problematic creatures, but it can also deal with a flip Tamiyo. It can deal with cards like Teferi, which are a total pain, Narset. It can also deal with cards that essentially stop you from being able to win the game, like Ensnaring Bridge. So we're playing 3 of those, and most likely this is just going to be killing frogs and exiling them. We also, in white, get Containment Priest, a very strong anti-Green Sun Zenith, anti-reanimation type creature that has flash and has a body and can actually do some damage on its own. Then we have Grafdigger's Cage. Again, same goodness of Containment Priest, essentially. It's just a 1-drop artifact that you can just park on the table and invalidate a lot of your opponent's deck if they're doing like Court of Calling and Green Sun Zenith, or if they're doing Reanimate and Animate Dead. We have a single Null Rod, which I can play in this deck, but I don't normally play in my blue-black tempo because I'm playing cards like Nile Spellbomb. And I'm not playing Nile Spellbomb here. I'm playing a Surgical Extraction just because I like to be able to, interact on the stack. This is good against lands, which we don't really have any game against. 2 Orcish Bowmasters, 2 Force of Negation in case we get paired against combo. There are a lot of combo players on MTGO leagues. And 3 Consign to Memory in case we go up against Eldrazi. So this should be, I think we're favored against aggro decks for sure, because Dreadnought is very hard for them to deal with. I think we're not favored against decks like Jeskai Control that have a whole lot of Plows, that have a whole lot of Prismatic Endings. It's probably even against tempo decks, but I think this, like against combo decks, this is going to be a lot more powerful because we can mess with their mana. We can stop the Thassa's Oracle, win the game trigger, or we can stop the Storm on Tendrils of Agony. And I think we'll be able to grind okay. I don't think we have a positive matchup against a lot of the premier non-blue fair decks like Cradle Control, but I think we've got a decent chance. So this shouldn't be weak against, it shouldn't be dead against anything, but there are some matchups where it's going to be better than others. So as always, we're going to play 5 full matches, and I encourage you to leave comments with timestamps if you see me make any questionable play, or if I am missing some detail, or if you just think there was a better line somewhere. Please tell me. I will never shoot the messenger. My goal is not to necessarily win. If I wanted to win, I just play Blue-Black Reanimator because I think it's objectively the most powerful deck. But my goal is to get better. And I think in getting better, the wins, when you play to get better, you eventually just get the wins for free as a result of that process. So I'll see you in round 1. All right, we're back for round 1 against Nyctophobia, an unknown opponent who's played both fair and unfair decks. We have a turn 3 Dreadnought hand. We've got a Psychic Frog. We've got a Plow. I can't help but think this is really good. If our opponent's not on a combo deck, I'm going to keep this. And we're on the play to top. All right, so I don't want to get wasted, but at the same time, I don't want to limit myself from being able to fetch white. So I think I'm just going to open, fetch, and pass. And what we'll probably do, since we have double Dreadnought, is we will... Oh, fair deck? All right. Don't mind if I do. I think I'm going to end step. Do I end step Plow this? Let me think about this. Yeah, I think we have to end step Plow this. It's a good creature for sure. I don't want the Ocelot Pride to, spawn a whole bunch. All right, so there is a little bit of a clinch here because they could waste next turn, and if they do, we're not going to be able to deploy Dress Down. Hopefully they don't waste. One way to ensure they don't waste would be to just play out the Psychic Frog, and then they're probably less inclined to waste. And then we can do the subsequent turn, drop the double, or the subsequent turn we can drop the Dress Down. Yeah, so I think I am going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and play this out, and maybe they take a turn off to Plow it. And then the following turn we can Dress Down, because we have to end step Dress Down. Or if we draw a third land, we could just Dress Down and play a single Dreadnought, but I'd really like to play them both if we can. Okay, so this is Plow, which is fine. We expected that. Don't waste me. Oh, they don't have a land. Okay, we're super lucky here. All right, so at this point, I'm kind of inclined to just Dreadnought, Stifle. The reason is 2 swings and they're dead. So I think I'm going to do this. They could have a Force of Will, but we're not sure if they're actually playing. Okay, now the trigger goes on the stack, and I'll just Stifle it. All right, and plenty more Dreadnoughts where that one came from, but I would hate to get wasted here and not have the option of getting a Dreadnought on the table. Another Plow, that's fine. So they had a double Plow hand. All right, if we get a land, if I brainstorm and I whiff, then I basically just give them an extra turn. I think I'm going to just wait and I'll instep Dress Down. I hope they don't get a Wasteland. But if they get a Wasteland, it's not the end of the world because we will have Brainstorm. I think if they get a Wasteland, they're probably going to deploy something. All right, so here we go. With the Dress Down in the end step. We immediately draw a card if this resolves. All right, we got our third land. And I'd love to get a Force. We do have the luxury. I'm trying to think of what that Ancient Tomb could represent. We do have the luxury of pondering before we start dropping these, just to see if we can find interaction spell. I think I'm going to do that. I'm trying to think if there's there isn't an instant speed white creature that can punish this. I don't need to shuffle anything back because I'm going to need that land. Maybe I just go ahead and do this. So I'm going to play this out, and I do have emergency Brainstorm. I'm not going to be able to shuffle it, but I'd rather do this. My opponent's probably like, how many freaking Dreadnoughts do they have? All right. Okay, what is this? Felia is a problem. She can hit one of them, and then next turn she can hit the other one. So I am going to see if I can find a Force here. I just grabbed the black. I probably should have grabbed a white case I found a Plow and they had a Wasteland. No dice. But we can hit the Ancient Tomb. Yeah, this is going to be messy because we're going to lose the Dreadnought here. But we can block her. So we won't actually lose both of them unless they also have a removal spell. So I don't want to draw this Tundra ever. I'll draw the... I'll put the Ponder back just in case they have like a, Thoughtseize Surgical. I don't know why. But it's just correct to do that. All right. So this dies. And one of our Dreadnoughts is definitely dead. Oh, no. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do to get it back. Okay, so they are going to exile one. That's fine. And now we're going to go to blocks, and I'm going to block her. She is a very good dog. She did her owner well, but she is going to find herself in the mouth of a giant shrimp. Okay, and so this comes back, and we will just sacrifice it. Okay, that's how that works. Okay, good. I sacrificed the right one. Okay. I guess it wouldn't matter because if I sacrifice the wrong one. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I think for starters, I am going to... Do I want to waste before... I think I'm going to attempt to waste here. This will force them to interact if they have interaction. Okay, what is this? Another Felia. Okay. All right, so that's gone. I'm going to go to combat and I'll just attack. They're almost certainly not going to block. And then what I'll do is I will ponder and I'll try to find some sort of removal spell. Now, I've already used one of my Plows and I don't have very many Plows in my deck. Let's see what we find here. Dress Down actually can remove her exile ability. And it draws us a card. Is that good enough? I'm worried. So if I put it in the upkeep, I think this is better than taking a chance on, finding something else. So I will do it like this. I will draw the Dress Down here. I'm not going to shuffle. And I think in the upkeep, we go ahead and put in Dress Down. All right, so we're going to go blue, Dress Down, and we'll see whether they have yet another removal spell. But Felia is not going to be able to exile anymore. All right, so we are going to draw 2 dead lands, which sucks. But it may not matter if they don't have a removal spell. All right, and we won. So, looks like we're up against some sort of like Death and Taxes type deck. Or just white creature. When I say Death and Taxes, like Thalia, not Felia. Their names are deceptively similar sounding. Yeah, Felia. She is not played a lot. Thalia is not played a lot anymore. And the reason is because of this, Orcish Bowmasters. And also just it's increasingly difficult to justify, a 2-mana card that like really only punishes combo players because the format is so creature heavy right now. So cards that we can take out. I don't think Daze is going to be good on the draw. Did they have... I don't think Stifle's particularly strong here either. I don't like stifling when my opponent can potentially Plow, or they may have that one that searches Path to Exile. They could have a lot of other things. Obviously, they have Felia, which cleanly deals with my Bowmaster. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take out some Stifles and some Dazes. I'm going to leave the Forces in because Force is still good, even though it's card disadvantage. If we really need to stop something, we can. I'm bringing in the Prismatic Ending because they're a creature-heavy deck, and I'm bringing in Bowmasters, which can not only ping one of their cards, but like this can potentially ambush Felia, so you can Orcish Bowmasters, then you can block with Bowmasters, and after pinging and kill Felia. I think this is just good against weenie decks in general. So those are my only changes. Containment Priest, we didn't see the card that I love the most that is no longer playable, Aether Vial. So I'm not sure the Containment Priest is correct here. Containment Priest is good. I'm so bad at this. I didn't even look to see whether they have Uro or Yorion. Let's actually take a quick look at the log. So they have Yorion. They don't have Yorion. Okay, good. That's good to know. So since they don't have Yorion, I'm not going to bring in Containment Priest. But if I see a lot of other blink effects Containment Priest can like surprise, oh, your creature that you just exiled is never coming back. All right, and the reason I keep Dress Downs in and take Stifles out again is Dress Down, you cantrip when you cast it. So it dramatically de-risks the playing of Phyrexian Dreadnought, which even though it's 1 mana, it is a card. Okay, so this is an Island Ponder hand. We do have Bowmasters. We've got lots of Prismatic Ending. Did we see a Wasteland from them? I don't think we did. This doesn't have the combo, but this has enough removal that I think we keep. And we're just going to use this. I'll probably Tundra into Ponder for Underground Sea or Fetch Land. I'll probably just skip the basics. I don't suspect they're going to have anything that specifically punishes basics other than Wasteland. And with only one basic in the deck, like we generally don't play around those cards. Okay, what is this card? Jacked Rabbit. I love it. That rabbit is a stout dude. Okay, so Ravenous. When Jacked Rabbit enters, create a number of 1/1 white rabbit creature tokens equal to Jacked Rabbit's power. So usually that should be 1, but if you pay X, okay, so you can make it bigger. Okay, and you get little rabbits. Cute. Okay, cool. So I'm not sure if this card's any good. They may not think it's good either because they put it under their Chrome Mox. They chose Dog, which tells me they have Felia. So I wouldn't mind. Well, Force is not going to help here. Well, the good news is we don't have to worry about. Yeah, so here's what I think we do. I think we Tundra. We get rid of the Mox. And then they're going to flash in Felia, which is fine. And then next turn, we just get rid of Felia as well. Let's go ahead and hit that. And I will just spend that mana and buy Mox. Okay, so here comes the dog to surprise with no one. All right, so they're going to get 2 mana. If they have like another dog, I don't think they play any other dogs in their deck. They could do something with that. But I think most likely this is just like a colorless mana for the rest of the game. Okay, Karakas, very strong card against our removal spells. All right, Felia is getting the trigger. There's nothing to target. We're still going to have to see the effects of this. Okay, so here. So because Prismatic Ending doesn't work here, I am inclined to just poke it and play the Bowmasters and see if they bounce it. I think that's totally fine. And if they play a 1-drop, we can hit that. But once she attacks and her attack triggers on the stack, we'll have a lot of flexibility. She is legendary. That you may not know that, but that's why Karakas is important here. Oh, they paid mana for that. Guide of Souls is good. She can blink Guide of Souls. Yeah, I can also stifle Guide of Souls coming back is another thing I can do. And if Guide of Souls doesn't come back, she doesn't get the bonus. Let's see. At the beginning, return the card. If it's entered, okay, yeah. I think I'll just stifle this when it comes back. That's fine. I'm not going to do anything else here. Actually, I've got a lot of Brainstorms in my hand. I think I might want to Brainstorm. I'm going to see what they do here. So that will remain in exile. Now, I do think I'm going to Brainstorm. This is going to be an imperfect Brainstorm. Hopefully we find a fetch. We don't. And we've already used our Stifle, so this Dreadnought is currently going to rot for a turn or two. Options. 1, we put back some of the... We put back the Force. The Force is actually good here, because they're down to 2 cards, and they might have a Plow in hand. I don't think Bowmasters is super strong right now. I can put that back, and I can put back this Ponder. We'll redraw Ponder, then I'll Ponder. And I'm going to almost certainly shuffle. But it's not the worst to just find something good and decide to draw the Bowmasters as well. What I'm really looking for is a land so that I can progress my game plan. Doorkeeper Thrull does it. It's not a land. I wish it was a land. So I'm going to put Force on the bottom. And I'll just take the Doorkeeper Thrull here. And we're just going to chill for a turn. But we are chilling with Force of Will in our hand, so it's not like we're naked. They have 2 cards in their hand. I'll probably force any serious card that they play here. Wasteland. Okay, that is scary. Yep. I'm thinking that it's a high likelihood that they waste us here. And if they waste us, we're pretty screwed. And I probably will just fire out the Brainstorm just to draw a little bit closer to a potential land. Okay. Yeah, I'm just going to Brainstorm. Okay. And we found a land, which is great. So what I'll do, I'm going to put back second force. And I'll put back Prismatic Ending. Is that bad? I'll put back Bowmasters again. Actually, I'd rather draw the force than the Bowmasters at this point because I've got a clear path to victory. And also, Bowmasters is kind of like a non-bow with Doorkeeper Thrull. So that's dead. Yep. And what we're going to do is we can Doorkeeper Thrull to stuff an ETB. A lot of their creatures have ETB triggers. And then next turn, we can Dreadnought with force backup. And we'll pitch Ponder to the force so that if we draw another card, we can potentially have a second protection spell for our Dreadnought. And our Dreadnought is not going to win against Felia. I didn't think about that. So we're going to need to take a turn to remove the Dreadnought or remove the Felia. Yeah, I don't think there's anything to do here. I think there's a chance that, because they have the dog, Cavernous Souls, I can't even force Felia on our way back down. We're at 11. I'm not too worried about our life total. I'm going to go ahead and get the Tundra here. And we are going to flash in the Doorkeeper Thrull. We don't know what we're drawing. Okay, so their trigger resolves. Now I'm going to flash in Doorkeeper Thrull. So now they can remove this with Dreadnought on the stack. They would need double 1 mana white removal to do that. Let's see what we draw. Now, land is actually really good here. So unfortunately, we attempt to get rid of her. They just bounce her to hand and they recast her. So I think what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and ponder. I like Tamiyo. Tamiyo. So what we can do is next turn we can play Tamiyo out. Yeah, so I don't want this Stifle. Stifle does also stop them bouncing, but I think they'll probably bounce Tamiyo. So I'm going to take the Tamiyo now. I'm not going to play it out. If I play it out, they'll just Caracas. It doesn't really hurt to play it out. I'm going to play it out just to force them to Caracas it. And then like, I didn't realize that was what was going to happen. Pretend. Okay, now I'm going to attack. It is worth noting that I did go down off of the second force of will, though. Tamiyo does represent a threat that they're going to have to Caracas. And when they Caracas Tamiyo back to hand, they didn't do that. That was a punt. Like, I can't imagine why they wouldn't just Caracas that out of the way. They've got tons of mana now. Solitude is something I'll force. I feel like with Tamiyo, even if this Dreadnought gets removed, it's not the end of the world. Touch the Spirit Realm. They're casting it. Well, I'm going to force this because I don't want to lose either of my permanents. Okay. And now, if they bounce my Tamiyo, okay, so they're just flickering her, which is fine. But if they choose to bounce her before my attack, then I've got, then it's open season on dogs, and I'm going to prismatically end their dog. My top card is a land, which I don't want. I'm going to go ahead and fetch. Just going to get a second Tundra. It's technically the last Tundra in my deck. What do we get? Another Tamiyo. Okay, so I'm just going to attack with everything here. And I think they'll probably bounce Tamiyo. But it's too late. She's created a clue. Right. So I can't really do anything here. I'm looking at 6 damage. They can't both bounce and recast. So they're dead on board. Check this out. So what I'm going to do, they're not necessarily dead on board, but check this out. I'm going to go ahead and attempt a prismatic end, and I think they're going to bounce her. Boom, boom. Now they should bounce her back to hand. So they're not actually dead on board, but what I'm going to do here, okay, so that fizzles. We knew that was going to happen. Now I can play this Dreadnought out. Okay, and now we have lethal pressure. So they'll play the dog out, and the dog will survive, but we were able to play this without going down in cards. So basically they'll have to like let me attack, and then they're going to need something to block this. I'm just eager to end this game just because I'm down like a lot. Okay, they just conceded. Great, we did it. All right, we're 2-0. Let's go to round 2. Sorry, just a correction. We're 1-0, but we won 2-0 the first round. I just want to be clear that like I don't want to overstate my accomplishments. We just started. All right, we're back for round 2 against a likely Painter player. Dreadnought is quite good against Painter. Wasteland is also good installation. We have a Force, which would probably be pointed at like Goblin. Fable, Goblin. What's it called? Engineer. I think this is keepable. Let's take a look at like their likely list. This is from a few days ago. This list is oppressive. Look at that. Like, so 7 blast main deck. That's scary. They do have the Chaos Defiler. So again, hitting Goblin Engineer is going to be important because that's how they put the Chaos Defiler in their graveyard, and they do have 3 Fables. Down to 3 Fables. Fables are amazing. They have all 4 Painters. They have 2 Grindstone. Okay, this is going to be an uphill battle. This is one of the best decks in the format. Okay, so we didn't lose any time there looking at their deck because they were deciding whether to keep. They kept a 6-lander. I think we just played a land. And do they have main deck Blood Moons? No, but in the sideboard they do have 4 Magus of the Moon, so it's going to be tough. I'm just going to play this and I'll pass. All right, our opponent opens Mountain Goblin Welder. That's fine. That's not something you counter. Generally, unless they already have like a really powerful threat. You counter the actual thing that enables their threat. So note that we don't have any Surveillance in this deck. We probably could add one, but I didn't feel right. But it would have been good in this specific situation. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just play another fetch, and I'll pass. And we have Dress Down, but like realistically, if Dress Down is going to do anything, it's also going to get Pyroblasted. And I'm not going to just cycle it. Yep, this is fine. We have both Wasteland and Dress Down for this. So they exile the Simian Spirit Guide to do this. I am going to force this. This is the kind of card you force here. Boom. That card is super duper scary. And they don't have a way to bring it back. So I think this turn we're definitely going to waste their Saga because they may not have any additional mana in their deck. I could just wait and Dress Down, but you know, a Grindstone comes out of it or something. It's scary. So I'm going to go ahead and get, I'm going to fearlessly get my non-basic. I'll get a Tundra. Now I'm going to Brainstorm. I'm going to try to put 2 of these lands away. That's pretty damn good. Okay. So we could just ignore the Urza Saga and just go ahead and do the Dreadnought now. I think that's actually totally defensible. So I'm going to put these lands back though. So in terms of cards they have that can interact with Dreadnought once it's resolved, I don't think they have a lot. All right, so that goes on the stack. I'm going to go get my Underground Sea. I am going to stifle this. And then next turn, they know that the Wasteland is coming for their Saga. They don't know that we have a Dress Down to kill any tokens they create, but they're probably not thinking about tokens right now. We don't have any artifacts in our graveyard, so they're not able to use the Goblin Welder to swap. Second Welder. No attack. All right. Psychic Frog's not bad at all. Here's what I think we do. I think we go ahead and we attack it and we just see what they do. What I'm trying to decide is there any card in their deck that can get rid of this that they might be able to get off Urza Saga. I'm going to take a quick look at their... So I don't think they do have anything that's particularly scary, but if there's a Grindstone, that's scary. I think, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and waste this now because I don't want them to get the Grindstone and then just tap, Painter. That would be terrifying. They are going to make the Construct. I did this after blocks, so they can't block. So they are taking a ton of damage here. Okay, and now in step, we can actually Dress Down to remove this and to take a lot of their outs away. They can put a Fury into play directly if they want to, but that's about it. I'm not sure what else I think Dress Down just stops them from being able to get out. Okay, great. So Dress Down did the job. It killed the token. You can see why Dress Down is a great card. Stifle is not a great card in this matchup. I mean, there are lots of things Stifle can hit, but Orcish Bowmasters is quite good. Grafdigger's Cage does shut off them reanimating stuff, but what I'm really interested in is Null Rod. Cards that are also good. This kills like half their deck. Consigned to Memory is not that great. I don't think it's worth boarding in here. Cards that are coming out, I think Daze is pretty bad, especially on the draw against their Ancient Tomb deck. As I said earlier, I think Stifle's bad. Tamiyo's pretty bad because, like, you know, even if she flips, they've got 7 blasts in their deck. So I would definitely consider taking some number of these out. Also, if we get Null Rod out, the clues become useless. So we need to make one more cut. Again, I'm not sure about Grafdigger's Cage. Grafdigger's Cage does stop them from being able to recur artifacts, but like the artifacts that they're targeting, a lot of those are non-creature. I think Nulldrifter is great here. The fact that it's colorless. Dress Down, obviously really good. Psychic Frog, I don't want to cut down on. I could trim a Stifle. Again, they're not a fetch land deck. And I don't like the idea of a Stifle on Dreadnought. Like, I wouldn't even cast it. I did cast it there just because I sense my instinct was that we'd be able to win quickly. Yeah, I think we go like this. And again, I'm going to hope that they don't open like turn 1 Blood Moon or something. Yeah, I like this configuration. So you may be asking why Bowmasters. They had 2 1/1s that we could have poked with Bowmasters, and Bowmasters is really good against Fable of the Mirror Breaker, and it's a non-blue threat. So the number one thing we want to do is get a Tundra into play and prevent them from being able to Magus us off of that Tundra. If they do, we can still win. So our fetch sequence will almost certainly be Island and then Tundra, because we need to get the Island on the table. We can still win with just an Island. Okay, we got the Island in hand. This is a pretty good hand. It's got cantrips. It doesn't have the combo. It is super weak if they have a multi-blast hand, but I'm going to keep this. I like the idea of being able to force, like, if they do have a turn 1 crazy card. They've kept 7. And they're using the command. What is it? Word of Command. Such a cool card. Like, just 2 eyes as the art. Very menacing. Okay, this tells me they probably have a blast. I think I'm just going to feed Tamiyo to the blast. Yeah, that's not a great top deck. The other thing I can do is I can maybe get them to Magus. Maybe get them to care about like prioritizing Magus by making them think that I don't have an island, but I do. So normal, like if I had waited, I could have brainstormed to flip her. Yeah, I'm not going to protect her. I think in retrospect, the play was probably just Island Ponder, and then next turn I could Tamiyo to protect. Yeah, like I think it'd be foolish to let this resolve. I'm gonna pitch this force here because can I still win with these other cards? I mean, I would have to find. It'll be harder to win with these cards. I think I'm gonna put back, or I'll pitch a Ponder here. And if they have, okay, they didn't have it. Great. I was thinking they might have so that's closer to our goal. I'm gonna start with a Brainstorm, because if I can find a fetch, I'd like to get rid of this Underground Sea, probably. All right, I did find a fetch. I don't need the duplicate Dreadnought here. I don't need this. So I can play this out, and if they play some crazy card, I can force. Otherwise, I've got Dreadnought online. And if they tap out, I'll feel much better about trying to resolve a Dreadnought here. Okay, the Fable is a strong card, but I don't think it stops Dreadnought, so I'm going to let it resolve here. All right, they create their token. I'm trying to think if there's some sort of sideboard card that they could bring in here. All right. Unfortunately, this is not a... so if they do have... Simian Spirit Guide into Red Blast, I'm screwed. Otherwise, I am going to have a Dreadnought. Let's take a look at what their potential outs are to a Dreadnought. So... I don't think they have anything other. Chaos Defiler, of course. Destroy. Okay. Non-land permanent. Yeah, so they can kill with that. They can, of course, get Painter's Servant and then blast it. Other than that, I don't see anything that can kill it. A Braid can kill it, and they probably boarded in there a Braid. What's this? Target creature gains protection. That doesn't help, or that doesn't hurt us. Yeah, so I think we are definitely going to go for this here. So I'm going to start by putting this into play, just in case I need to panic and get some mana somehow. I can't imagine how that would happen. And I'm just going to play this out. And then I'm going to stifle the trigger, and I'm going to hope that their 2 of a Braid is not in their top 3 cards, because they can potentially pitch 2 cards to draw deeper. If they find a Braid, it's probably GG, and we'll probably just go to the next game. Okay, they pitched an Engineer and a Bauble. There's a Painter's Servant. I can't stop that. If they have the Blast, they have the Blast. There's the Blast. Yep, drawing that fetch cost us the game, because like my deck is like 90% blue cards, or like the non. It's not 90. I don't want to exaggerate. But it's like a vast majority of the cards in the deck are blue. Yeah, I feel like we've lost this one. I'm going to see what they do here. Welder is, they can weld a Bauble into play. If I get a Phyrexian Dreadnought in play, they can weld it out of play, like to the other one. Trying to think of what sequence of draws. I'm going to keep playing. We have plenty of time. I'm going to brainstorm, and I'm going to try to get rid of both of these. That's another Dreadnought, but as I just said, like, it's not good to have that. Like, they can just weld one into the other with their welder. So we need to get rid of the welder. I think I'm putting this back. I want to get a Nulldrifter. I think that's our best card here. I may actually waste them this turn. We'll see what I find off this. I'm going to be aggressive because they're down to 2 cards. Okay, we found a whole lot of nothing. I'm going to put this Force back. I think it's just too late. There's no hope there. I'm going to put this back because I don't want it. And then I'm just going to go ahead and ponder shuffle and see what the top cards are. But I'm almost certainly shuffling this. Any order, shuffle. Okay, we got a Tameo for our trouble. I'm just going to waste their City of Traders because like that's the only angle we can hope to screw them on is mana at this point. They have everything else they need. I think it's highly likely that they... okay, so next turn they'll be able to start cloning their Goblin Shaman token. Lava Spur Boots, okay. So they can put that on there and they can start cloning it now. But they do need extra mana to do that. They played their Mountain as their land for a turn. So they can attack here and then they can start copying. You know what? I just freaking realized when they blasted off the Painter's Servant, they chose blue as the color. I could have forced pitching the freaking land in my hand. That was a total punt. Okay, so everybody who's already left a comment, I'm sorry. You probably noticed that a while back and like, why didn't you just pitch that? But unless I'm misremembering, like I totally could have made that play and they'd probably be dead right now. So I totally threw this game away. Okay, sorry about that. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start by playing this out. I don't think it hurts. And then I'm going to ponder. And if I find another card I could potentially flip, is Blast the last card in their hand? I hope they use it on this instead of my Plow. Because I'm going to definitely Plow the this. This card is dangerous. Okay, now I'm going to ponder to see if I can find a good card. Oh, I'm so bad at this. I can't believe I made that misplay. Okay, so these cards are not bad, but they're not great. And I don't want to have to draw through this island. Yeah, I think I'm going to any order shuffle. And if I rip like any sort of cantrip, I'll go ahead and use it. I ripped a land. Yeah, I think we just have to do this now before they untap. Wait, this doesn't have ward. Oh, this has ward. Okay, I'm sorry. I screwed up. That has ward. There's no reason that I should have done that play. I'm just not attentive. Sorry, I'm like, this is what cascading errors look like. You realize you made a huge punt and then you just throw away other, like any percentage chance you have of winning the game, you throw that away too. It's totally my bad. Okay, so on the play, Daze is a lot better than Force because we're not having to pitch cards, and nothing is worse than pitching a card and then you're 2-for-1ing yourself to counter their spell, and then they just Pyroblast, right? That's like the worst. So at the very worst, Daze trades card for card. And as we can see, this deck, we frequently have excess mana Gosh, I can't believe I made that dumb, boneheaded play. I'm going to be beating myself up over that. But please be gentle in the comments. You don't need to point that out if you haven't already. I realize the error of my ways. Point out other errors that I didn't notice. Okay, so we're just making that quick substitution. Days. I still think Prismatic Ending is good. I just didn't want to draw through all those. All right, so we're going to try to get the quick kill here. This does not quick kill. This doesn't really do much of anything. I'm going to mulligan it. This also is a no-lander, so we're going to be going to 5. Yeah, and generally I never keep, hands that don't have blue mana in them. I'm like a blue mana purist. Like the deck has to have a lot of blue mana sources, and this one happens to have 16. Pretty good. So the fact that we haven't gotten one, frustrating variance, but it does happen. Okay, so this is our keeper. Sadly, we don't have the second land, but we do have powerful cards. So in case you're wondering, no, Null Rod does not shut off Phyrexian Dreadnought, unfortunately. That would be amazing if it did, but this is a totally respectable hand. We can keep Days if we want as a point of interaction, but I'm actually inclined to put the Dress Down. No, Dress Down's good against them. So because we don't have anything going on, I think we just Island Days. Or we'll fetch and then Days if we need to. No Rod's a good card. I think we put back Prismatic Ending. We could put back Dress Down, but Dress Down's gonna save us if they have. But I mean, Doorkeeper Thrull and Null Rod are a lot better in the matchup. Null Rod shuts down Moxen, which I don't actually know if they play very many Moxen, but it does stop treasure tokens. It stops their artifact lands. And as far as I can tell, other than Painter, there's no way they can get rid of it. The other option, of course, is to just put the Days back. But I think it's quite likely that the top card of our deck is not a land, and that we will have a dead turn where we're just chilling with a land in play and nothing to do. So I think I am going to put back the Dress Down here. And our opponent chose to finally say something in the chat instead of wishing us good luck. They just did a little period there implying that we were taking too long. I'll take as much time as I want. I've got my own chess clock right over here, and so do you. And I won't complain about how much time you take. Okay, Petal. This could be Magus. Fable. I think this is Days worthy. I'm going to go with the island. I'm getting the island now because I may not be able to get it later. They're going to need... yeah, so we stopped it. That's an important spell to stop. And we didn't have anything going on next turn anyway, unless we draw land. We didn't, so I'll just play this out. And yeah, I'll pass. We'll wait and we'll brainstorm next turn. Yeah, Fable just does so many things for them. It fixes their mana. Like they could have a mana light hand. It fixes their hand, and it gives them a very powerful 2/2 creature, like basically a mini Kiki Jiki. If I could find another Days, this would be worth it. Otherwise, this Doorkeeper Thrull is dead to me, sadly. Like that, we're never going to cast it. There's no island in our deck. Yeah, I think it's worth looking for a Days here. We didn't find a Days. In fact, we've found a lot of cards that are shut off by this Magus. So yeah, sad land, population us. All right, it looks like we're going to lose this one, but and I am going to wait an extra turn to brainstorm, just because we're not drawing to anything here. We're drawing to another land, but we need Dress Down into Stifle to win. And they could absolutely, blast our brainstorm. So that may be an argument for doing it. But let's see, 2 mana. This could be the Engineer. Engineer is super scary. All right, they're just attacking. I'm glad I got that island down. You can see the importance of getting this island down. Yeah, having to mulligan to 5, pretty unfortunate, but it does happen. Like, it's just variance. Okay, and they have the Painter. So I don't think there's a way we can win anymore. Yeah, I definitely could have brainstormed there. Yeah, we don't have a way to win anymore, unfortunately. I'm just gonna brainstorm real quick and see what we would have drawn. None of this would have mattered. We could, next turn. There's not gonna be a next turn. Getting Null Rod out if we'd drawn land could have stopped the Grindstone, but then they're just a blast away from winning. So yeah, We tried our best. Other than that punt, that very epic punt that my opponent is oblivious to, but you all are privy to. I feel like if I had done that, there's a decent chance we could have won that one. I'm not saying it's a lock because they could have had more blast. There's a lot of other things they could have had, but I definitely feel like I threw that one away. So I'm gonna try harder, try to stay focused. I'll see you in round 3. Just a quick correction. Like last game, I kind of like accused my opponent of being impatient when they typed the dot. It just occurred to me that they may have just typed the dot because they wanted to make sure that like their client hadn't timed out. So I want to apologize. That was presumptive of me. They may have been impatient, but they may have just been typing anything to test whether their client was working. And sometimes I'll type the word test, for example, to check if I think MTGO is timed out. So I just want to clear the air and say like, I acknowledge that, and I hope that it didn't come across as me being testy with my opponent, who was otherwise, there's nothing to complain about. Okay, so let's take a look. We've got Dawson's Creep. I have played against this person before. I'm going to wish them luck. I can't remember what they were on, so I'm going to look it up, and I encourage you to do the same when you're playing this game, because who knows, they're probably looking me up. All right, most recently on Nadu Breakfast, this is not a keepable hand. We've got 2 A's. We have no B. I'm going to mulligan. This is a keepable hand. We've got excess of land, but we do have a Psychic Frog and a Brainstorm to fix the hand. I am going to just keep the fetches and throw the island back. And I will do nothing for the first turn, and then I'll probably play Psychic Frog. I will have Emergency Brainstorm up. Okay, they're mulliganing as well. I'm just going to keep, and we'll put back this island, and we'll pass to them. All right, they started with 6. I'm just going to throw this land out there and pass. All right, Flooded Strand fetch. Plains. Nomad. Okay, so no mystery as to what they're on. That's fine. They could be playing main deck Plow. I'm just going to pass into my turn. See what I draw here. Okay, that's unfortunate. I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and... they don't have days up. There's no reason to do this now. I'm just going to... I already kind of showed them what I have. It's too late. But there's no reason to do this on my turn because I do have a second land drop. So I'm just going to make the land drop and I'll pass. But what I'd like to do is brainstorm and then shuffle away the excess land. Our deck only really needs 2 mana to function most of the time. If they have a quick kill here, that's a redundant A. The question is, do they have a B? I will happily take this damage here. I'm not worried about my life total. It's rare that like this deck dies to just combat damage. I think it's much more likely to die to big scary combos. So let's go ahead and use this. All right, we found lots of interaction here. I'm going to put this back and this back. We do have a wasteland now. Yeah, I don't want that land. I'm going to go ahead and fetch now. They did not fetch back. So we do have Stifle. So here's what I think I'm going to do. They may not be playing very many. Oh, that's a great rip. Okay, so I'm just going to wait and I'm going to end step dress down here. I don't think there's a reason to dress down to get the Dreadnought out now. There is in the sense that we like speed up the clock, but I can stifle this and I can dress down end step. And they may be a little reticent about fetching here. Okay. Reluctant. I'm not sure if reticent and reluctant the same meaning. Obviously not the exact same meaning, but like similar connotations in this circumstance. Okay, so there's another Nomad. Okay, they've got a lot of plan A's. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and boom, dress down. Now they know what I'm on. They probably were confused as to the color combination because to my knowledge, like there are exactly 2 people who play Esper, me and Chica, who did very well. Oh gosh, we're getting so many lands. Okay, so I think the simple thing to do, probably play out this land. Yeah, just so we can fetch another color if we need to. I'm going to go ahead and play out. What do I want to play out? I'm going to play out A Psychic Frog? Yeah, I'm gonna I think we just play out the Dreadnought. Here's my reasoning. We play out the Dreadnought, we keep 3 pieces of interaction up. Stifle, we're daze protected. And they fetch. It's okay. We can stifle the fetch. We have Plow up. We have Wasteland, which is really intended for sagas, but basically they're not going to be able to go more than once. Okay, so I do think we go ahead and we stifle this. Okay, that worked. Fetching again, that's fine. If they get Nadu into play, it's extremely bad for us. They don't have green mana here. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about this. Not feeling good. Not feeling hopeful. So I do think at this point it might make sense to go ahead and Plow this. And here's my reasoning. We're going to need to get rid of that too. And Nadu, once Nadu resolves, the game's over because they're going to be able to draw like 6 cards. So I might as well save a little life and just Plow this. Now you might be saying, but what if they have Cephalid Illusionist? And that is a very legitimate thing that they can have. So I'm going to take 1, but okay, so they're just equipping. I think it's highly likely they have Nadu and they're just waiting for the 3rd card. I think if they had Cephalid Illusionist, they would have gone for it by now. Okay, so I'm just going to go black, blue, frog, and we will wait. If they get Nadu, I'm going to attempt to Plow. I'm just holding this Tundra in case I do get lucky and draw another Brainstorm. Here comes the Nadu. So I will have to Plow the Nomad if they do indeed go for the Nadu here, which they should. I've got 2 cards in the hand. I've already used my Stifle. Yeah, main deck Prismatic Ending. I don't imagine they play that many of those, but it's very good in this context. Okay, here's the Illusionist. So unfortunately, Illusionist can win at instant speed with a Nomad on the table, so I do have to hit this. And I do have Daze Protection here. Oh no, I didn't think about it, but they can still win with Shuko. Yeah, I mean, we're kind of screwed either way. Let's just see their deck. I'm going to F6. There's nothing else we can do here. Yep. Okay, sorry about that, folks. But it didn't matter. Like we played the cards we drew. I don't think we made any big mistakes. We needed to get rid of both of those. And yeah, they had enough A's that when they drew their B, they could win instantly. There wasn't a play where like we could like Plow this because they could just instant speed start targeting in response. So let's take a look at their deck. I'm just going to pop it over here so I can get a better view of it. And it looks like I don't even care about them seeing this Tundra here. So I'm not going to DF6 or concede or anything. So there's a Dread Return, sick art, Dread Return. The luckiest acolytes were the ones who didn't survive long enough to see the Archfiend's return. It's pretty cool. All right. And then, yeah, for Nadu, we got a Cavern up in the house. Memory's Journey as opposed... So they're not even playing... Dress Down. Or they're not even playing Cabal Therapy. So, interesting thing, if they Memory's Journey... you can potentially target their Illusionist again and mill the top 3 cards off after they've Memory's Journeyed to put stuff. But yeah, we lost. So let's go ahead and go to the next game. And cards that are coming in, Grafdigger's Cage stops their combo. Lavinia stops their combo. Bowmasters is just insane against their deck. And Surgical Extraction is not worth playing. Surgical Extraction is kind of a trap in my opinion. I'd much rather have a card like Containment Priest because they don't necessarily need to win through the graveyard, but Containment Priest is slightly better. It shuts off their combo, but it can at least attack. Surgical just rots in your hand. And then, well, actually, if they're not playing Cabal Therapy, they don't have a way to get rid of the Surgical Extraction. Okay, so these are definitely coming in. Let's talk about what's coming out. I almost kind of think that this is not a Dreadnought game. And I'm not going to be boarding Dreadnought out a lot, but Dreadnought is pretty bad against their deck because they have 4 Plows. Let's take a look at their most recent sideboard. Included 3 Prismatic Endings on top of 4 Swords to Plowshares. Wait, this is an old list. Yeah, but they had tons of plows. They probably have 4 plows in. Like, I think everybody's playing at least 4 main deck removal spells right now. Carpet, something we can remove with Prismatic Ending. Lavinia is good. Serenity. Serenity is another thing. They might bring Serenity in just as another way to stop them. And so why make ourselves vulnerable to like all that, on rate removal where they're basically removing our card for, so I think cards we keep, Doorkeeper Thrull does technically stop just the Thassa's Oracle, but it's so weak otherwise. And it doesn't, it does help us with Nulldrifter, but that's it. And likely, like this, unlike Dress Down, this does get like exiled, or they kill this, and then the Nulldrifter doesn't get to stick around. I think doing that, we can take out some number of Dress Downs because we're really just Dress Downing for Nulldrifter. So we still have 6 enablers for Nulldrifter. Nulldrifter is not the best, but I don't want to cut it. It is pretty hard to kill. We get the triggers on cast. We need to cut one more card. I'm going to cut a Force because I don't think that's like our path to victory, and I'm just going to submit real quick before we run out of time. Okay, so we brought in a ton of creature removal. Creature removal is much more important than stack interaction in this matchup. Hopefully, like our thing got submitted. Okay, submission received. Okay, good. Sometimes, like when you're really low, it lags and it doesn't actually accept your card. Okay, this is a great hand. It's got some interaction. It's got a frog. I'm going to keep this. I probably should have thought a little bit longer. My opponent will probably assume we have Force of Will in our hand based on that. Okay, so they don't have any interaction, but I do want to be able to brainstorm and use the fetch separately. So I don't want to blow the fetch, so I'm just going to play this out and I'll pass. Next turn, we're almost certainly going to just go get a Underground Sea and Psychic Frog unless they present an A piece. If they present an A piece, we will have to potentially deal with that. This is not an A piece. When I say A piece, I'm talking Nomad's Encore or Shuko. I should have counted how many Shukos they had in their deck. All right, so now we're going to go to this. I could put a Psychic Frog on the table. That does open us up to days. I could also just waste this. They shuffled. I don't think they have Urza Saga because they're on the cavern, so I didn't check. I forgot. I think it's totally reasonable to waste this, and then we've got Stifle for their next attempted land. Yeah, and then we have plenty of lands to play, but like the more we slow this game down, kind of the more favored we are. I'm just never going to be able to tap this because this could be the last land they have. If they play a second land, then I will start tapping. Otherwise, I'm just going to chill. All right. We drew another Brainstorm. Not going to complain about that. That's a great mid-game card. They're hesitating. Maybe they don't have a land drop. Maybe they have so many lands they're trying to decide which land to deploy. Okay. Saga. Yep. That's fine. We have lots of things to deal with constructs. I think we kept it. Did we keep 2 Dress Downs in our deck? I can check the sideboard real quick. We kept 2 Dress Downs in. Yeah, I can't safely Brainstorm here. I'm just going to let them pass. I'm not worried about their construct plan. They're not even going to be able to get their construct plan off the ground because they have to fetch lands to do that. Okay. Now I think we can go with Stifle here. Okay, so options. 1, I could Brainstorm. I don't think that matters. I think what's better is to go ahead and just get a Underground Sea and deploy a Psychic Frog. And then if they attempt to do it, I can, but I want to get Psychic Frog on the table so I can start snowballing. So if they attempt to fetch, I'll fetch and I'll Stifle. Otherwise, I want to keep this fetch up for brainstorming purposes. I think they're probably going to be forced to fetch unless they have a second land because they do need to get rid of the Psychic Frog. Okay, that's our cue. Go get a Tundra. And they probably saw this from a mile away, but they can't daze it. They can only force it. And if they force, that's okay. This is a 2-for-1. They have 8 cards in their hand, though. They were going to have to go to discard. They just scooped. Okay, that's the power of Stifle and Wasteland. Sometimes you get like easy wins like that. Okay, on the play... Seeing that, okay, so I'd forgot, I reasoned that they didn't have Urza Saga because they had Caverns, Cavern of Souls. But seeing that does make me kind of want to bring a Dress Down back in. Just because the construct plan it is embarrassing to die to constructs when you have Urza Saga in your deck. Do we want to bring in Doorkeeper Thrull just as a surprise blocker? I don't think it's good enough here. We could get a Daze on the draw. Force is better than Daze. I mean, their deck is very mana intensive. They don't have any mana dorks or anything, so maybe we do this split. They're going to be very aggressively fetching, and they're probably also going to be fetching basics, but I think this is fine. I don't want to cut a Daze. I can't bring myself to cut a Daze against the combo deck. Lavinia is just Tameo is just a really good card in general. Yeah, I'm sorry for the indecision. I think that we could take out Containment Priest. Containment Priest can also jump in and like win combat, surprisingly. I think this split is okay. Again, like I definitely feel weird keeping Dazes in, but like they're part of their mana base disappears, right? Like Urza Saga goes away and you just don't have lands. And that was what they were looking at, is they were looking at their Urza Saga going away. This is a snap keep. Look at all the interaction we have. Grafdigger's Cage is great. They do have Prismatic Ending, but we've got two different axes. So they're going to have to win through Nadu. Let's see what they do here. Okay, immediately fetching, probably fetching basic. Shuko, okay. So if their top card is just whatever it's called, they win. Self-Led Illusionist. So I think we do need to deploy the Grafdigger's Cage now. It's definitely a risk that they stifle, that they daze, but if they daze, they're not going to be able to cast it next turn. I'm going to go Tundra, Grafdigger's Cage. And I think this is better than like holding up Stifle and hoping that they have it, because this is proactively like shutting them out. And if they use a Prismatic Ending on this for some reason, okay, that's great. They're pondering. If they use a Prismatic Ending on this, that's a Prismatic Ending they don't have for our Frog or our Containment Priest. So what I'm going to do here is they could definitely have Daze, but now that we have a protection piece in place, I feel like it's probably okay to Delta. If they get a second land, what I'll probably do is I'll waste the land and then I'll hold up Stifle. And then the next turn I can play Delta into potentially Containment Priest or Psychic Frog. So they did not shuffle. Okay, so they're digging deeper. They're probably getting rid of a card they don't want. Maybe this is a Narcomoeba. No, they kept it on top. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and waste them here. Yeah, waste Tameo. That's good. No, I'm gonna waste hold. I'm not gonna give them any more mana than we absolutely have to, because next turn I can play out Tameo and keep Stifle up. That's fine. All right. Now we have the option of just jamming Psychic Frog or holding up Containment Priest. Plow is a great rip. This makes me want to keep my blue up. If I fetch here, they're going to know that I have a Plow, but I'm all right with them knowing that. Yeah, Tameo is going to come out first. Just on the chance, like we need to be prepared if they have Prismatic Ending into, what's her name? If this just goes away, that'll be great. Okay, it's not going to just go away. All right. There's no point in stifling the search trigger because they're just going to go get another Shuko. I'm pretty sure that's the only card they have in there. I mean, they could have a Pithing Needle, but like I don't think that's a good card here. It's a fairy. Yep, nothing we can do about that. They're probably going to bounce. They're probably going to uptick. And now they have potentially the combo. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they have Nadu following this. They may hit our Tameo, though. Just if they hit our Tameo, I'll be less scared. Okay, yep. That is a weird play because I can just replay it. I think hitting Tameo is a much better thing. I don't know why they didn't just hit Tameo. Okay, so now we have a force. Unfortunately, there's no way we can stop. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and attack Tameo. Or I'm just going to attack, I guess. It doesn't matter. Yeah, I'll just attack. Now we get a clue. And now we can... I mean, they could definitely have days here. So playing the Grafdigger's Cage is closer to stopping them than playing the Containment Priest. I think it's fine, but they could have... okay. I think it's more likely that they have a Plow than that they have a... yeah, I'm going to play this out. My thinking is it's more likely they have a Plow than a Prismatic Ending. So they're just floating. This probably means they've got a Nadu. But the good news is, Nadu is not GG unless they also have a Nomad, because Chica will only get them 2 cards here. Okay, that is a Prismatic Ending. That would have also hit our Containment Priest. Okay, they have another one. Here is Cephal Illusionist. And unfortunately, I think we've lost. Yeah, they've got Teferi Cephalid Illusionist. I'm just going to scoop. Yeah, so we're 1 and 2. That was disappointing. I'm trying to think if there was anything else we could have done. So we deployed our thing. If we played out the Containment Priest, they still would have had an extra mana. Yeah, with the Lotus Petal, they would have had an extra mana to both exile our Containment Priest and to play the Cephal Illusionist. So, yeah, I mean, sometimes breakfast wins. It's a squirrely deck, which I've played a lot. On the channel, I haven't played it a lot because it's not my favorite deck. I don't like combo decks. But I won a 1K with it last year, and I think I did like 10 leagues with Nadu Breakfast. But yeah, I mean, it's always a dangerous deck. Never underestimate Cephalid Breakfast. 2 of my, I think, 5 losses at Eternal Weekend last year, I went 6-5. 2 of them were to Cephalid Breakfast. And Cephalid Breakfast is way stronger now that they've got Nadu. So be on the lookout for it. If you saw anything that I did wrong, sideboarding decisions, things like that, I would love your feedback. I can't think of any obvious misplays. You could argue that aggressively wasting their duel was a mistake, and I should have just held my duels for Urza Sagas. Yeah, Curtis Dipmar. We played against this gentleman, I presume, with the name Curtis. This is an exclusively Omnitell player. Omnitell, of course, not known for doing a lot to disrupt you, and also not known for being explosive. I think we are totally within our... it's totally reasonable for us to just open Tameo, and then next turn we can ponder trying to find land. Doorkeeper Thrull does stop Atraxa if they're going to do the Atraxa route. I'm not going to look at their specific list because it's a few months old, and who knows what they're playing, but I can be confident they're playing the card Show and Tell because they've always played it in the past, at least for all their finishes. I'm going to keep, and I'm going to just play Underground Sea, and I'm going to presume that they don't have Wasteland. Good news is we're on the play. Good news is Tameo is a very strong card, and she is a card draw engine at the very least. And usually they don't win turn 1, so I'm not going to aggressively ponder for a Force of Will. I'm going to hope to find a Force of Will or a Daze in my top 4. Or I guess top 5 from here. If I get a chance to aggressively flip Tameo, I will take it. All right, there's blue. All right, Nulldrifter, not a great card in these circumstances, but it does pair well with Dress Down. If we get to Dress Down casting point in the game, I'm going to go ahead and attack first. All right, post-combat, we're going to ponder, looking for land. Looking for land in all the wrong places on the top of our deck, probably, knowing us. Oh, we did find one. Oh, and we found the Force. Okay, so they could Force next turn, which would be bad. There's no benefit to us playing this land out. It's not like we're missing the land drop. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Force now, and then I'll take the Underground Sea next turn, and I will play out the Psychic Frog next turn. And they may think that we bricked on land, but we actually do have land, and we've got a lot of stuff lined up. If I can find a Brainstorm, of course, that's not only going to flip Tameo, but it's also going to put the Doorkeeper Thrull in the or the Plow back. I don't imagine Plow being particularly good here. They've got a Shuffle for their Brainstorm, so they're going to be able to get a perfect Brainstorm if they want one. We don't have a Stifle to punish their fetch. So we're drawing land, and then we're drawing Ponder, which are great cards. So if they have like soft permission, like a Flusterstorm or something, we could be in trouble. But I'm just going to keep... I'm going to play a Psychic Frog, and then we are basically guaranteed to be able to flip Tameo the subsequent turn. I'll go ahead and attack with Tameo first, just in case they have some sort of like bounce effect or something. I want them to use that on Tameo rather than on my Frog. And yeah, I think we just play it out. I think you want to bully this deck. You want to like be aggressive here. If we find a land, we're still a couple turns away from Nulldrifting, but Nulldrifter will be strong. but I will happily pitch the dress down here to force if we need to stop something. All right. They do play green usually, I would imagine, in Omnitell, so I wouldn't be surprised if this grabs a forest. It does. Show and tell. So I could get creative and put in like a dress down or something, but I think it's best to just force here, and then worst case scenario, we can put in a Doorkeeper Thrull in case the card they're putting in is Atraxa. But even if it is Atraxa, I think it still triggers. Nulldrifter doesn't actually give us any cards here. So this resolves. I'm going to put in Doorkeeper Thrull. And they got Omniscience. So they're not going to get the... Okay, so they get to look at the top 7 cards of their deck. So yeah, we may have screwed up here. They did have a Force plus Show and Tell. Here's the Emrakul. It's a cast trigger. So my Doorkeeper Thrull doesn't even stop it. All right, we're dead. Yeah. We were going to lose all our permanents. I mean, yeah, we could keep one permanent, but it's not going to matter. They're just going to keep attacking us with, yeah. So let's go ahead and go to, so they probably saw the Doorkeeper Thrull and now they know we're on Dreadnought, and that's fine. Cards that are coming in. Bowmasters is pretty decent against them because they do have a lot of cantrips. Prismatic Ending is usually pretty bad, but it's better than Plow. Plow is like terrible against their deck. So I'm going to take out the Plows. And you might be thinking, but Plow might be able to hit in the Traxxas or something like that. But by the time that happens, it's too late. Containment Priest actually isn't good if they have the Omnitell thing on the stack. Containment Priest can't stop. Let's take a look at what one of their historic lists are. Again, this is from like almost a year ago. But generally, Emrakul, it's almost all around getting these other cards like Omniscience, and there's like one other, but like a ton of cantrips. Yeah, we saw Drawn from Dreams, which is the fixed dig through time. I've never seen Shimmer Possibility. I would be surprised if they're not playing like newer cards than these. Sublime Epiphany, which is like the ultimate cryptic command, basically. Yeah, and Thwart, very cool. I'll be amazed if they're actually still playing Thwart, but it's a good card. Okay, so cards that we don't really care about. Doorkeeper Thrull does help. So we're going to try to turbo kill them. Consign to Memory can stop triggers, but it's not very good. I do think it's worth bringing these negations in. Okay, and I think everything stays in. Obviously, we can't submit a 64-card deck, so we are going to have to make some cuts here. I think Nulldrifter is a little bit slow against their combo deck. I'm going to take that out, and it doesn't pitch to Force, and it's not beneficial to put it in off Show and Tell. Dress Down is not great. But it does enable our combo, so I'm not going to take it out. I can take out some combo things. I think it's better to put in Doorkeeper Thrull than no. Doorkeeper Thrull is going to go because it's not blue. It doesn't pitch to Force. Maybe just 2 Prismatic Ending instead of 3. We didn't see anything that, hit them on the stack. Maybe just 1 Bowmaster. I don't want to take any of our blue cards out. So yeah, I think we run it like that. If you have feedback on my sideboarding, as always, leave a comment. I appreciate it. All right. This hand has Lavinia. It's got triple cantrip. It has half the combo. It has Psychic Frog. I think this is a keep. And then we just open Tundra looking for either a Force or a second land or both. So we have to have a lot of counter magic to overpower them because they likely have... Okay, this has a land. I think I keep this... on the strength of land. We don't need... Yeah. And Brainstorm. Yeah, I mean, they may just come swinging out of the gates. But I think this is probably fine. If we stick Lavinia, that's kind of like a mini Force of Will. Because it stops their Force of Will. Okay, this is a indestructible artifact land. That's nice. Tech. I hadn't really thought about that. But it's good against all the tempo decks out there. It's both the colors they play. Does it count as an island? It does not. But I guess it probably doesn't matter for the purpose of their deck. Okay, so I think here just playing out a Lavinia is totally defensible. The high EV play is playing out Psychic Frog, but then if they just untap and jam Ancient Tomb into the card, do they play? Yeah, they play City of Traders. Huh, interesting. No Ancient Tombs, but I guess they're doing damage to themselves. That's an old list. That might not be accurate. I just want to caveat that. The other option, of course, is to brainstorm away some of these cards. I think we get Psychic Frog on the table because Psychic Frog can close the game quickly, and we're going to risk them having turn 2. We have no protection in our hand, but I don't think they would assume that we would keep a hand with no protection, because like, who is reckless enough to do that other than be excellent against a, pretty linear combo deck? They're going to probably play it a little bit slower because they're going to want to have their Veil up. Okay, Brainstorm's fine. I'll be amazed if they have any removal on their deck, but they may have like a bounce effect. I think it's highly likely they have a card like Carpet of Flowers that they could potentially put out there. So I'm not optimistic about it. In fact, in retrospect, I think we probably should have cut one of the Wastelands. And I'll probably cut that if there's a game 3. Because obviously this can't be wastelanded, and you don't want to wasteland Ancient or City of Traders, like, generally, because it'll waste itself. But I mean, in certain situations you might do that. I think in game 3 we might also take out one of the days. It's just because they've got so much, they're going to have so much mana here. And it's possible we should have just gone more aggressive and tried to dig aggressively for a Phyrexian Dreadnought so we could kill them quickly. They're getting a lot of selection here. We'll see if they shuffle. All right. They did not shuffle, so they like what they see. So we're probably looking at we're probably looking at some sort of kill in the next turn cycle or two. I think let me think about this. So we brainstorm, we can potentially find a fetch, and what do we fetch away? I mean, we have so many cantrips in our hand that it's like an embarrassment of riches. If we Psychic Frog first and we don't pitch anything, I don't think I want to pitch anything to the Psychic Frog. It could be correct to do so, but it feels bad in this kind of matchup where like every Force of Will is going to potentially matter. So we'll draw our card. So we're now up a card. We got a Daze. That's not bad. I think we're less concerned with blue than we are with white here. I want to brainstorm just for I wouldn't mind putting Dress Down away. Let's see what we get here. Because Dress Down is really not good against our deck. It doesn't interact with the deck at all. That's insane. Okay. So we got double force. That is great. Okay. But what we didn't get, so I'm going to put this back. We didn't get a land. So I am going to ponder shuffle. I don't think these stifles are particularly strong here. I'm going to just ponder here. And if we don't find a fetch, I'll just shuffle manually. Another force. I think we kind of have to take the force. I mean, we've got so many cards in our hand. Just draw through the mediocre cards. Yeah. I think this is correct. I'm going to pass. We've got 7 cards. We don't need to discard. We've got 4 points of interaction. We could literally pitch our entire hand to stop them in this turn if we need to. And Frog will just keep chipping away and putting victory farther and farther out of reach for them. Okay, Show and Tell. I think I just Daze here. Because we know we're not going to make a land drop next turn, so it's actually kind of free to Daze. Oh, wow. That stopped them. So they only have 3 of these in their deck. Now, granted, they probably are not playing Mystic Sanctuary since this is a non-island. They could have another one. All right, so here's what I think we do. I think we go ahead and we dig deeper into our deck first. I'm just going to keep whacking them, and I think we're just going to stick this Lavinia into play. White, blue, Lavinia. Only my forces work. Yours do not. I think we defend this. You're forcing, I'm forcing, is what I like to say. I think we pitch a Stifle. Stifle's like the least valuable card. If we draw a Phyrexian Dreadnought, Dress Down can still help us win. Okay, cool. We still got 2 forces, and we only need 1 force for the Show and Tell and 1 force for the Veil of Summer. Okay, here's the Show and Tell. I will force a negation this. I'll just pitch a... It's a shame that we didn't get to use the stuff here, but we are going to have to use the force here. So I imagine they're going to go get their Veil. Okay, we won with an extra force in hand. It's a good feeling. Okay, so as I said, we're going to take out the Wasteland, which does literally nothing in this matchup, it seems. We can bring in one more card. Consigned to Memory is not good against their deck. We didn't see any stack-based. I mean, they may not be playing, what's it called, Defense Grid, but they were here. So I definitely think Defense Grid is on our radar. Leyline of Sanctity doesn't do anything against us. Okay, so I mean, if we counter one of their, this is kind of a janky play. If we counter one of them, we can just surgical the other ones. That seems gimmicky to me. I don't like that idea. I think it's probably better to just play it safe and bring in another Bowmasters as like a instant speed interaction thing. I mean, our lands are pretty tight, but they're not going after our lands at all. Yeah, I think maybe we just put this back in. I think I've kind of convinced myself that we do need the mana. No, they're not using any soft permission. Okay, I'm talking myself out of it. I think Bowmasters can close pretty quickly. I will feel like a fool if they just stick a containment or a grid thing, or if they stick a carpet. So I think we board this in. All right, I think they're unlikely to walk into Daze this game, but I'm going to keep the Daze in just as a force pitch. Love to have the opportunity to stifle a waste here. Yeah, this doesn't have a force. I think we mulligan this. As much as I like the idea of, yeah, I think we need to find a force here. Okay, we found a force. The card that's going to go back is going to be, we could put back second land and just ponder for it if we need to, because Tamiyo will come in. They're not likely to mess with our mana. I think that's fine. Oh, are they on the freaking draw? Holy cow, they're on the draw, I think. Is that right? Because our side of the table is lit up. Like, I've never had somebody do that. Okay, so Second Frog's too strong. Yeah, I think we put back the Ponder, just because like Ponder is most likely going to be digging for land anyway, and we already have the land. And then we have a Brainstorm if we need it. We can put cards away. That's crazy to me that they put us on the play. But I guess the cards really matter to them. Right, so I'm going to keep my fetch land for later, and I'm just going to open Tamiyo here. Tamiyo is really good against their deck because I don't think they have any way to remove it. And it'll quickly tick up toward inevitability. This is fine. So I don't think they're I think we have enough turns. Okay, so options. One, we could go ahead and stick Psychic Frog and guaranteed flip Tamiyo the following turn. And definitely draw a card off Psychic Frog. I think that's better. Oh, second, this is great. The other option is have two force negations. But I think it's definitely possible they could just go City of Traders, Show and Tell with force protection. And then we would need the second card. So I'm going to start by attacking. I do think I'm going to flip Tamiyo here, because being able to buy back forces is really powerful against them. Okay, so now I'm just going to play this out just in case they decided to board in like a... So we're going to flip, and I'm just going to put back any cards that are not blue, because we need to have two forces. That is fine. That is totally fine. All right, and now I'll just pass. So they forced my Brainstorm, and next turn I will just deploy probably a Frog, unless they put something on the stack, but I don't think they're going to put anything on the stack here. That's fine. They're just sculpting with Preordain, the worst cantrip that is legacy playable. But that means their deck is so full of cantrips they need extra cantrips. All right. They put both on bottom, so they didn't find what they were looking for. I would love to find another Brainstorm, that's for sure. Okay, so at this point, we have double force negation if we wait, and I do think we wait. I think we just attack here. I will stifle if they fetch, just to deny them some mana, because they're not going to win without fetching. And then end step, if they do nothing, we can crack a clue and draw. Okay, now they have a lot of mana. Okay, so it looks like they're passing. I'm just going to go ahead and get They could have that Magus, but like if it's the blue Magus, it actually doesn't hurt me at all because I can live off just blue. Okay. Draw a card. It's a good card. It's a ponder. All right. Now let's... Oh, that's great. This represents hardcast force negation. I think with everything we have going on, I'm not even going to deploy the frog. I'm just going to keep drawing an extra card every turn and amassing more and more interaction. Is that true? I can play the Psychic Frog and still have double interaction up. I think that's better. Let's see. I think with Stifle and double force up, I think we won't have double force up if we... Okay, I'm just going to think for a second. So let's talk through this line. So force negation on their spell. Great. Stifle, and then we have double force negation still up in case they untap and they have an Ancient Tomb or something. Yeah, I think this is fine. I'm going to just keep my lands. Once they have fetched, then I'll feel a little bit more liberal about playing Psychic Frog, but I just want to play super carefully. We already kind of have a win condition on the table. If we get another land, we can potentially draw 2 cards in one turn, which will be really strong. Let's crack a clue and end step. Right, there's our land that we were looking for. Dreadnought does pair with Stifle and kills them. In order to deploy it, we do need to... Okay, let's think about this. We have Stifle. We have just 1 force up if we do this. If we're patient, we can kill them pretty steadily. They may... Let's see. I don't think they have Teferi. I'm trying to think of any interaction they have for Dreadnought. I think them forcing the Stifle on Dreadnought would be pretty bad. So I'm just going to hold. And I'd rather Stifle their land because they haven't played a land for 2 turns. So we could go ahead and frog here. I think that's fine. I don't expect any sort of sweepers. So we're not technically tapping out of double force negation if we do this. Because we could crack and get a clue. Do they find a land? They haven't cast a cantrip in a couple turns. They've just been letting us amass clues. Okay, so I think I am going to move here. And I'm going to hit that because that represents green. Okay, here comes a Spell Pierce perhaps. A Flusterstorm. Okay, so I think we stop this. So I can pay for 1 copy and then I can negate the other one. So I'll just get another Underground Sea. Okay, so they have 2 copies. I'm going to go ahead and float blue. I'm going to pay for this. Now for the second copy, I am going to attempt to force it. Pitch Ponder. And they may have like a second point of interaction here, which is fine, but they're going to be tapped out and they're not going to be able to do anything this turn. This is aggressive. I mean, there's definitely an argument for just letting them get the forest here, but if they're going to force, they're going to force. And then they won't have the mana. Yep. All right, so they are going to get their land here. Wait, what did they force? Oh, they forced my Stifle, so this doesn't even matter. Okay. I did exile their Flusterstorm for a little Pyrrhic victory there. Okay. And now if they have a land, Carpet is probably game, unfortunately. Because they're going to be able to add 4 mana. Yeah, and I can't do anything. Yeah, I screwed up. They had to have 2 points of interaction. They did. And now they can show and tell. And I can't do anything. If this is Omniscience, they're going to have 1 card left in hand. Drawn for... Oh, okay. They're just cantripping here. So if I can find a... they're getting 2 cards, though. Out of 7. This is really strong. We have to get rid of the Carpet now. Or we just have to like keep drawing ridiculous amounts of counter magic to where the fact that they have infinity mana doesn't matter. All the daisies in our deck are effectively dead until we can find a... and I did put an extra prismatic ending in precisely for this purpose. Because they're pondering again. So they are digging really deep here. But they just need to find their A and their B and then they can win. All right. So I think we flip Tamiyo and we have to go up first before we can go back down. Boom, boom. Here. I'll draw a card. Stifle. So I can stifle the carpet. I can hardcast Force Negation. I'm not going to be able to flip Tamiyo here, though. Maybe I don't even care about that because Phyrexian Dreadnought is not going to kill them yet. But a single hit from Phyrexian Dreadnought combined with Stifle could kill them. I think it's better to... Okay, my thinking is probably we keep Hardcast Force Negation and Stifle up. We can stifle the trigger on a Flusterstorm if that's what they use. That won't matter though. What else can we stifle? We can just stifle the carpet. I think stifling the carpet is totally legit. But let's see. At the beginning of Europe, if they use it, then I can stifle it. Yeah, I think that's the correct play. I'm just going to wait. And then I still have Force Negation up, and I have Dress Down and Step if they don't do anything. I am going to... I mean, this... I can't target mana ability. I think I can stop this. Choose target activated or triggered ability. I mean, this is a triggered ability. Can you not stifle this? My client is spinning like crazy. Okay, it worked. So actually, I'm not sure if that works. If like they can just pass to the next one and get the trigger again. Another one. I think we have to let this through. Yeah, and they may be able to add a ton of mana here. I didn't think about this. But like if this triggers a second time, then I'll have learned something. And I hope you all will. Yeah, it triggers a second time. So it's, unfortunately, you don't ever really get a chance to decide like whether you're going to stop the ability. They're going to add green here probably, and then they'll have Veil up. And if they don't have Veil up, they have so much mana up that they have Hardcast Force. Not a lot of hope here. Ponder's fine. I just want to make it to the end step so I can put Dress Down in because we have to win stat. Like, we don't have time to mess around anymore now they have all these cards. Like, all this mana. Drawn from Dreams, another one. I think I have to hit this because this is like the choke point right here. Is them having lots of mana. And I could be wrong, and I could just lose here. But this is going to give them so much card advantage and card selection that I feel like we have to hit this. And if they just blow us out, they blow us out. Okay, that worked. Now do they have the show and tell? They don't. Well, that is a massive relief. Okay. Force of Will. Great pickup. All right, I'm just going to attack with everything. I feel bad for burning the Stifle there, but it was a lesson. All right, so now I can flip Tamiyo, which, considering they didn't have anything to do with their mana, that might not be terrible. Okay, we got a second Dress Down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and crack this here and just try to draw so we can get Tamiyo to flip. All right, we got another Tamiyo, which will be a good pitch to force. I'm just going to plus here. I can wait to end step, and I can put in Phyrexian Dreadnought. I think that probably actually is the play. The next turn, I can start rebuying my force effects. Yeah. And I'm playing like super duper carefully. I hope you all pardon if this is like extremely tedious to watch me like dance around this. But this is like what it's all about. Like this matchup is potentially... I mean, it's kind of like a nightmare because they can 2-for-1 you, but you can't 2-for-1 them. You just have to outdraw them. They are adding mana here. If they do another draw from Dreams, I will force it. Because I have to stop their cantrips at this point. I'm not stopping that, am I? I mean, they could have a lot of dead cards in their hand. Something tells me this is the only spell in their hand that does anything. I'm going to do it. I am going to do it. My reasoning is this is basically Ancestral Recall at this point because they can put stuff back. Okay, I won. Wow. All right, so what we did, I mean, it's incredible. But maybe they saw the writing that we were going to be rebuying with Tamiyo and we were going to eventually out muscle them. But yeah, that was touch and go for sure. For sure. They didn't cast a single show and tell that game. So yeah, we're 2-2. We're going into the final round. Let's see if we can lock in the positive record. All right, we're up in round 5 against likely Eldrazi. If this is what they're playing, looks like a pretty standard build. Yeah, we'll see. All I need to know is Eldrazi. This is a good hand against Eldrazi. I like the Wasteland. I like the Psychic Frog, which can potentially solo them. Dreadnought will probably get pitched to that unless we happen to draw a B for our A here. So I'm going to keep this. Even if they're not on Eldrazi, this is just a good all-around hand with Plow and everything. Plow, Wasteland. These are good general cards that are mulling to 6. They wish me luck. All right. So I think what we do is we probably just open fetch here just because we don't want to get wasted, and we'll see what they do. Show me your moves, as Captain Falco says. Or Captain Falcon or Falco, one of the two from Smash Brothers. Okay, so this doesn't look like it's Eldrazi after all. So if this is indeed a white fetch, then we're not going to want to go with our Dreadnought plan for sure. And this also may indicate that they have days. All right, Island's a great pickup because it allows us to continue to play without revealing much about our deck and without becoming vulnerable to Wasteland. So we have Emergency Brainstorm and a Shuffle effect once we learn more about their deck. But if they're playing white-based removal, there's no way in heck that I'm casting this Phyrexian Dreadnought. Okay, it looks like they're probably on Riskaminator. That's a very common Riskaminator type play, which means our Wasteland's not going to be very good here, and I'll probably want to shuffle it away. Okay, Psychic Frog. That is something we will deal with our Swords to Plowshares. With this information, I think we have enough information to brainstorm. So you could argue that we should waste and maybe they won't have a second land, but their deck has like orcs and stuff, or trolls. It's got lots of ways of finding the land that they need. Okay, so dress down into Phyrexian Dreadnought is actually not bad. But these, I suspect these Wastelands are bad. So I'm going to put them back. And I think what I'm going to do is I'll just Plow this turn. And next turn, or end step, maybe I'll attempt to dress down. Is that safe? The other thing I could do is just, I'm definitely not going to let it hit me. So I'll fetch right now. I'm going to go get a Underground Sea here. They may think that we're also on Rescam, but we are not. Doorkeeper Thrull is more vulnerable than Phyrexian Dreadnought because they can just Fatal Push with Phyrexian Dreadnought with Doorkeeper Thrull on the stack. I'm going to Plow while they can't daze me. Or if they force, then like my daze becomes a 2-for-1. Okay, and that just goes through. And yeah, I'm going to end step, attempt to dress down, and if they stop that, then I can Doorkeeper Thrull into Phyrexian Dreadnought. You could definitely argue there that like I had a window to just get a Phyrexian Dreadnought into play with dress down and daze protection, but like they could have their own days. A lot of things can go wrong. All right, so I am going to go ahead and attempt to dress down here, and I think there's a decent chance they daze it. There's like no harm in them dazing it, but it'll be a 1-for-1. And here's the daze. They're opting to daze back with the Undercity Sewers so they can get an extra surveil. It's fine. All right. So I'm still not really safe to put this Dreadnought into play. I think I'm going to put a Psychic Frog into play. Oh, now I am safe. No, I'm still not safe. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play this out right now. And hopefully this draws their Fatal Push, paving the way for my Doorkeeper Thrull to open the door for Phyrexian Dreadnought to come through. Knock, knock. All right, I'll save the knock, knock until we actually do something here. Please don't put Atraxa in the bin. They've got 5 cards in hand. There's they're binning Reanimate. Okay, so I'm not sure what they're doing over there because Reanimate's the best card in their deck. But I guess they don't have any targets right now. Like Fatal Push, Reanimate my Frog is like a totally valid line. They may be planning to cut my Underground Sea out from under me, which is okay. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. They just put that on the stack, and I'm going to attempt a Doorkeeper Thrull, and then I can potentially daze my okay, so they're not going to fall for it. Because often you can do this thing where you basically sorry, I'm trying to complete my thought. Where like they're wasting you, and then you can put a spell on the stack, and then they daze it, and you can daze it back or something like that, or force it. But the daze returns the land that's been targeted by Wasteland and saves it. I don't think they're going to be able to deal with this. Boom. Boom. Knock, knock. And I will get my damage here. I should have left the island untapped, by the way, not the Tundra. I just was too excited and too hasty. I hope you've got some more Brazen Borrowers in your hand. And if you do, it's only going to temporarily solve the problem. All right, we got it. So, game one against Rescam. The Dreadnoughts have reigned supreme. I don't think this is a Bowmaster matchup. They don't actually have anything to kill with Bowmaster. Grafdigger's Cage. Okay, so let's bring in the cards that are definitely coming in. Containment Priest. Prismatic Ending is an answer to a lot of their cards, but I think Surgical is better here. On the draw, Daze is not as hot. In fact, I would argue like Daze probably isn't even worth playing here. We can keep the Wastelands in just because it's colorless mana, and they do have Wastelands of their own, but I don't imagine we're going to be wasting them. Lavinia's not the worst, but she's not exceptional because they're not running Grief anymore. Thank goodness. So yeah, I mean, that's like a pretty clean 3 for 3, and we still have the Force in. Some people cut Force, but what I'll probably do is maybe cut some Force on the play if there's a game 3, but I don't feel like cutting them here. Consign doesn't help. Again, Prismatic Ending is good against them, but it just hits. Yeah, I think we could bring one in because it does hit the Frog, and it does hit if they're playing Tameo. It's a great card against Tameo, and one of the problems with our deck is we don't have a lot of game against Tameo because most of our threats like are very slow to come into play. Like Doorkeeper Thrull and Psychic Frog don't by default do any damage. Neither does Tameo to flip Tameo. So cut one of these maybe. Again, like we don't generally want to be doing 1 for 2s. We brought in a whole lot of answers to their combo. So we could treat Surgical Extraction as like Force of Will number 3, for example, or 4. Containment Priest, of course, is just an utter house against their deck. Grafdigger's Cage should be great, and it's easy to get out. This is naked to the combo side. It's also kind of naked to the fair side. I'm going to mulligan it. I know it's got early Tameo flip, but I don't think that's strong enough against them. This is weaker. But it does have a Psychic Frog. They mulled the 5 cards. Okay, I'm going to mull because I'm going to assume they're going on like some sort of turbo reanimation hand. This is a terrible hand. Do we go any deeper? I don't think we do. I think it'd be reckless to go deeper than this. Okay, so I'm going to keep this. And I'm just going to put this to the bottom. This to the bottom. Okay, so we are going to keep the Wasteland here just on the off chance that they kept a hand that's weak to Stifle Wasteland. If they somehow don't cast anything during the first turn, I'm going to be so excited if I get a chance to stifle them. Okay. If they put a land in the graveyard, I'm not going to waste them. Otherwise, I probably am going to waste them. Barrowgoyf. Okay, that's a good card. That's a card I'm not well equipped to beat with my current hand, but my deck can certainly handle it. Yep, I'm going to go ahead and waste them. I mean, they went down really low. All right, let's see what happens here. The suspense. The other option, of course, was to like play out a fetch and wait. Okay, they did have a second land. So I don't feel punished for my line. Options. I think just playing Tameo out is fine, and if they daze, they daze. Do we want to keep... There's no benefit to playing out the Delta or anything here. If they have the Entomb Reanimate, they have the Entomb Reanimate. There's nothing we're going to be able to do. We could stop the Attraction trigger. Yeah, actually, I kind of regret doing what we did here. I'm going to ponder. I want to ponder and find a Force of Will, or these cards don't do what we need. Or a Plow. I wouldn't be opposed to Plow. I didn't want another land, that's for sure. All right, so I think we're probably going to lose, even though they mulled the 5. We mulled the 5 kind of chasing them. They didn't end step Entomb though. Oh, and they don't have a land. Okay, so there is a little bit of hope here. Force. Okay, now I'm feeling a lot better. So what I think we do is we probably just play this out, and I'm going to deploy my Tamiyo, and then I have Stifle if they fetch. I have Force if they attempt to do something degenerate. And at this point, I probably will force the Psychic Frog. This is precisely what I was saying when I said, oh, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I don't really care about winning the game. I just care about them not winning the game. And then eventually I'll assemble a hand that wins the game. Is this Entomb? Troll? Yep, that's scary. I could definitely have freaking stifled that if I thought about it for a second, but I didn't. I'm dumb. All right. So unfortunately, yeah, I don't think it's going to matter. I don't think denying the mana at this point is going to matter anymore. This is a great pickup. So this is basically stapled to this, and we are only stopping degenerate things. We don't care about Troll coming into play. I am going to go ahead and just play out lands, and I'll pass. And you may be wondering why, who knows? We might draw back-to-back brainstorms and really want to keep these. Yeah, and we may not have a reason to plow. I would love for them to burn a reanimation spell on Troll, because I can 1-for-1 answer that right now. Okay. Trying to think of what is in their hand. They've got 5 cards in their hand. Could just be interaction, like Fatal Pushes and stuff. Okay, the other thing it could be is it could be a Orcish Bowmasters, and there's a great way to check for that right now. I'm going to do it. You have Bowmasters. Okay. Surgical, quite good. We can put this Tundra back that we didn't want. I don't really want a second Stifle. I think this is the second thing we put back. I think it's okay to go ahead and ponder now, because we have days protection in case they could have double days. That is something they could have. But I'm going to go ahead and proactively ponder here. I mean, this is kind of a win, but I don't want to risk. I think I take the Tamiyo and I just end-step fetch to get rid of the other stuff. The main reason is they've already Fatal Push once, and I suspect they'll have 3 more Fatal Pushes in their deck, and I don't want to go down a card, especially when they have some number of Brazen Borrowers. They had at least one main deck. All right, we're passing their turn. Feeling pretty good with my hand. We can stop their fair plan. We can stop their unfair plan. I think I will surgical if they reanimate, and I'll save the plow should they have a frog. There's the frog, so I'll just chill. Let them dump their hand if they want to. I will plow next turn. I'm going to go ahead and get a second Tundra here. All right, let's see what we draw. Doorkeeper Thrull is good. We could definitely wait and see if they put power and toughness into it or what they do. There's no reason to plow right now. Playing Tamiyo is fine right now, but again, double days is a possibility. I like the idea of end-step Doorkeeper Thrulling. Yeah, and if they force or plow, I will force back probably. Okay. I'm just going to go to block and knit. They're not discarding, so I am going to go ahead and plow now. Okay, and it happens. Right, and I don't think I do anything in step. I don't want to get dazed. I think it's highly likely they have a daze in their hand. And now I'm going to go ahead and play out a Tamiyo, and I will pass. I definitely could have done Doorkeeper Thrull there, but I don't think it really helps us anyway. All right, and I wouldn't be surprised if this was pushed basically immediately. And the thing to remember is, had we taken the Phyrexian Dreadnought there, and we flash in Doorkeeper Thrull, then when we put Dreadnought on the stack, they can just kill the Doorkeeper Thrull, and that kills our Dreadnought as well. All right, 4 lands. They are drawing some serious lands over there, and I'm not sad to see it. All right, another Stifle, which is not great. All right, and at this point, I'm just going to hang back and continue to be a coward and not put anything on the stack. Not really anything to put on the stack that doesn't already have flash. Orcish Bowmasters. I think it's fine for me to just do this here. If I do Doorkeeper Thrull, it stops the trigger and they don't even get an Orc Army. I think it's fine. I'm not going to force this though, because there's just more dangerous stuff they could do. So it does mean we're not going to be able to use our clues. We do have Prismatic Ending in our deck, though. What is this? Barrogoyf? I think I do need to force this, sadly. It's just too strong. I could force with backup Tameo. I think backup Tameo, in case they get rid of our Tameo, Tameo is pretty good. No, I'm going to get rid of backup Tameo and I'll hold the Stifle. Just, who knows? Like, Stifle is not the greatest, but it is pretty generally useful in this matchup. Okay, and they can't attack in. So we can continue to amass clues even if we can't safely crack them. I'm going to play this out. I'll just attack with Tameo. I might as well attack with this. I can't think of a way it gets blown out. Like, they get a damage, I get a damage. They are technically winning the race, but it's not that big a deal. One thing to note is they are playing Troll of Khazad-dûm in their deck, and the later we get into the game, the more risk there is. Yeah, that's fine. I'm not going to proactively Surgical Barrogoyf. They probably have one more Barrogoyf in their deck. I will stifle a fetch, though, because that would allow them to get rid of bad cards. They bounced the... no, wait. Undercity Sewers was wasted. Never mind. I was thinking that they might still have that in hand. Okay, they didn't do anything. So it's going to be an imperfect brainstorm here unless they do play a fetch. They could have a troll. I will stifle a troll for sure. I'll stifle anything that shuffles their deck. Because it's kind of like drawing two cards. Right. Ponder. Again, not a great draw. I'm not going to fall for the trap of... so I could flip this. If I flip it, it is doing damage. I think it's worth it to have a maxed out... Yeah, I want to do it. So I'm going to fetch. I have to crack these clues anyway. Eventually. Like, I want the cards, right? So I'm gonna eat a clue, and they're gonna be able to ping something. And it's gonna suck if they take my Doorkeeper Thrull off the table. Okay, they're pinging my... Okay, they're pinging it. Is this a mistake? If I had more mana, I could save her, but I think it's worth saving. It's better to have the Tameo on the table, potentially taking up, than it is to have the Doorkeeper Thrull that really doesn't do a lot here. The one thing this does do, though, is it does make it so that my my Surgical is dazeable now. Now they're brainstorming. Okay. I got a Grafdigger's Cage. That's worth noting. So next turn, assuming they don't strip it from my hand with like a Thoughtseize or something, I can't play it out. It might be too late by then. I might be closing the barn door after the horses got out, so to speak. What are they doing here? Are they going to push again? They're pushing again. So we got a lot of stuff, but they are, wiping our board, and they do now have 3 power on the table. So yeah. I mean, that was I don't think it was terrible. It was basically like we got 2 cards, we lost 2 cards. We have another Tameo that we can deploy as a chump blocker here. They're having to ponder to shuffle because they didn't have a native force effect or a native shuffle effect. We got 12 minutes on the clock to their 18, so we are playing slower than them. And I do think it's likely there's going to be a game 3 here. But if they can't just explosively... So Grafdigger's Cage, it doesn't actually stop Barrogoyf, I don't believe. You may mill that many. If you do, you may put a creature from among them into your hand. So this doesn't stop them from going into the hand. It just stops them from being entering play. So this won't affect Barrogoyf. So they're attacking. So they just Entomb Reanimate here. That's super duper scary. All right. Well, that's a huge relief. Okay. So now what we do... Okay, I think we Dreadnought. They used 3 of their fatal pushes. So I think it's more important that Dreadnought resolves than anything else. And I do have a backup Stifle if I need to. So if they force, they may think, oh, I'll force the Stifle, but they don't know I have a second Stifle. All right, what are they doing here? Double blue. Triple blue. Okay. I think they meant to do something with black probably. Consign. Well, yeah, that's fine. I'm surprised they brought that card in against me. This is like literally the only thing in my deck that it affects, I think. Yeah, I'm not going to stop that. That's fine. You can have that. Okay, it's worth noting that I am low on life, relatively low on life, and I might die pretty quickly here. I'm going to go ahead and deploy my cage, and I am going to deploy Tamiyo. They're down to 3 cards in hand. This blocks the Orc Army. They could have a second Bowmaster, so I think realistically this probably blocks the Bowmaster. And we just take 2. Yep, that is the correct attack in my opinion. So I will be blocking here because I definitely don't want a second Bowmaster to come down and kill my Tamiyo. All right, and unfortunately, I think Tamiyo is probably on blocking duty here. Yeah, I'm just going to leave her as a blocker, and I'll just wait a few more turns. They have to do stuff. They don't have to do anything, but I do have to do stuff. But, I mean, I could Tamiyo block Orc Army, and then if they Bowmaster, I could... Let's see what they're doing here. Yeah, this is the second Bowmasters that I feared. This is really bad. I think I might actually want to stifle the ability just to keep the army from getting really unwieldy. I have plenty of mana. I think it's fine. I'll do it. All right. So we're going to be blocking the army, I think. And then if they have yet another Bowmasters, I will stifle the other one. I think actually maybe that's not correct. Because how do we get out of this? We get a Dreadnought into play. But I am going to block here and reduce the damage we take. Do they have another Bowmasters? They have a Wasteland. Barrowgoyf is devastating. Yeah, we definitely could have Surgical to avoid that, but it was, 1 card in their 37. I doubt they play 4. Nobody plays 4. Okay, another Stifle. Okay, so here's what I think we need to do. I'm going to Ponder. This is desperation, I know. But if I can find a Dreadnought, and I did, I can get it into play. Barrowgoyf does have Death Touch. I think this is our last chance, though. I'm not going to wait for the Force. I'll draw the Force next turn. Double pings. Ouchie, ouchie. Okay. They're targeting her. It's fine. So I can't do it again. Oh, they targeted her with 1. That's smart. Okay. Now I'm just going to go ahead and play Dreadnought, and then I'm going to attempt to stifle. It makes sense why they were holding that consigned memory. Okay, this is a second consign. Yeah, I can't do anything. I'm just going to concede. Yep. Yeah, we fought through a lot, but there might have been some opportunities to play that differently that I didn't see. Yeah, let's see if we can win on the play. So my daisies are my daisies coming back in? Force is pretty bad here. I think my daisies do come in. And we'll try to keep them on 2 lands. I do think Bowmaster comes in here. Bowmaster is very good against Bowmaster. Nulldrifter, pretty bad against Bowmaster, and they're going to have plenty of tokens and stuff. I don't think that's the path forward. Doorkeeper Thrull, now that we've taken out, I mean, this is definitely weaker than Dress Down. So I would argue that we do that, and then we still have the combo, even though it's slightly fewer ways to get to it. I mean, Doorkeeper Thrull, maybe Doorkeeper Thrull isn't that bad. I'm going to cut this. Yeah, I'll do 2 daisies. I could definitely bring an extra Prismatic Ending. I don't think it's worth it, though. It's because we brought in Orcish Bowmasters to help with the removal. All right. This is a double land hand. It's got Ponder, Dress Down. Yeah, I think we keep this. It doesn't immediately have anything to address the threat of a crazy monster that they could put into play, but the fact that we have double removal makes me think we're pretty strong against their fair plan. I could Island Ponder right now. I don't think that's the worst. I could also Tundra Ponder and then just get another Tundra. I think I'm going to do that. Yeah. Because if I can find a Daze, that's pretty good. These are all great. This is excellent. So the Wasteland we can keep if we need it, and we can just play slower. Actually, putting the Grafdigger's Cage in the hand was a mistake there because they may be able to rip it out of our hand. That would really suck if they do have Thoughtseize. They haven't Thoughtseize all game, so it makes me think they don't have it, but they could have it. All right, they didn't open Wasteland, which is good for me. This might be a Tamiyo. No, they're just fetching to get around Stifle. That makes perfect sense. I totally understand and respect that decision. All right, so I'm going to put this on the stack, and then if they try to do something to stop it, I will fetch. Okay, that's in. Now, it's not a guarantee that we've shut off their combo strategy. I'm not even sure how heavy on the combo they are. They could be just like we haven't seen Animate Dead the entire time, so it's totally possible that they're just not doing Animate Dead stuff. Okay, so they're probably going to waste me during upkeep. They didn't. All right. So I think what I do here is I play this out, deter them from wasting me. I could definitely waste them, but I don't think that's the winning line here. I think we just chill with the ability to dress down something and potentially draw a card. We also have the ability to Doorkeeper Thrull, and we got Swords to Plowshares up. I'm not going to play out Psychic Frog right now because it'll force me to fetch, and then that will give them the ability to okay, so they're doing this. Yeah, I think it's fine to just play this out and stop them from getting the trigger. And then I can end this next turn. If they force this, I'll be happy because I'm going to end the actual Orc Army next turn. They may daze just, and then I'll just go fetch and get another Tundra. Even if they double daze this, it's not the end of the world. This represents like a threat though. That's fine. Yeah, they successfully countered it. They told me that they don't have daze also. So I do think I just let this resolve, and then I probably Prismatic End the body next turn. And I'm just going to play nice and slow. If they seem to not have a land drop, I will probably waste them. This is fine. I think it's likely that they find a fetch here, or a troll, and that they break their Brainstorm lock. Well, they weren't Brainstorm locked, but they're not. I think it's unlikely they get Brainstorm locked. If they are Brainstorm locked, you better believe I'm going to waste them. Okay, so no, I don't think it's right to waste them here. Thoughtseize is fine. They're going to be able to take one of my two removal spells, but the other one will be pointed at Orcish Bowmaster. And now they have perfect information about my hand, so they can choose to waste the Tundra if they'd like, and strand the Psychic Frog in my hand. If you can hear my daughter playing piano, she is practicing a nice song. Okay, they took the Plow. Now if they waste here, I actually can't Prismatic End because I wanted the second color. So yeah, that's fine. That's pretty good. I think they played well here. And now they're going to attack for 2. So that Force of Will was important because I would have stopped the army from appearing, and I would have also gotten a... Okay, so just to be clear, I don't know what the top of my deck is, right? I don't think I do. So I'm gonna draw wild because it could be a land. Okay, so that's super good. Okay, so I think here I'm gonna go ahead and fetch the Tundra, and I'm just going to play out my Psychic Frog. I think it's totally likely that they have some sort of removal for it, but I think if I just get rid of this and then they play another one, it's kind of annoying. Could potentially waste me. I'm going to do this now because Psychic Frog is good, and like Psychic Frog can overpower this over a few turns if they don't have removal. And I think it's likely they have removal. But this can block, I'll happily discard, a Prismatic Ending to it if they play a Wasteland or something. I definitely could have wasted there, but I just get the vibe that like their lands are not that big of a deal, and my lands are. Okay, they're not attacking, not casting anything. Okay, so I'm glad I didn't waste them there because it is nice to have the extra mana if I need it. Okay, now what I think I'm going to do is I am going to waste them and see what they do. And then, okay, so they floated blue. So the Wasteland destroys it. I'm not going to cast it in. And now, I think I go to combat and I've just, okay. So I pass priority. So I think I get priority back here before combat. Okay. Now I'm going to play this out. I'm going to go white, black, and I'm going to attempt to end this while I can. Now I'm going to hit their last land, and this should set them back pretty far. If they don't have a land, they're not going to be able to troll cycle. So that shuts off a lot of their ability to get lands. They're going to attack me for 1 here, but next turn I'm going to play out a frog that they won't be able to stop with daze. They don't have a land. All right, sometimes you just get lucky here, and we even got another land. I will play out the land. I'm not going to use it immediately. I'm just going to play this out, and we're going to try to tempo them now. They could have a force. They don't force. Okay, I feel like we're in a pretty good position here. A lot of it being on the play, and also just luck with them, not finding lands. All right, I'm just going to jump over this thing. I don't care about my graveyard. So I'm going to exile 3 cards. Exile 1, 2, 3. Now I'm in the air, and I'm going to go ahead and attack. I don't think I discard. This can get brainstorm back later. I just need to be patient. The real goal is to get a lot of cards on them. Okay, Ponder's great. I'm going to Ponder while I don't have to worry about Bowmasters. See what we take. None of these. Yeah, I'm not going to take any of those. Dress Down is tempting just because it's better. Well, I got to Dress Down anyway. Yeah, I'm just going to pass. And I have Dress Down if they do. I can't imagine what they would do here. They have to find a land. I don't mind taking damage here. If they attack in, then I'll just jump it again. Bowmasters of my own. So I think I'm just going to Bowmasters here. Just assert my dominance. And then I don't even have to remove stuff from my graveyard. I wouldn't be surprised if they conceded soon. We are doing frog things here. Dirty, dirty frog things. We're down in the bog with the frog. All right, we're drawn. I am going to play out a land just because it unlocks Dress Down, and I've got so many cards in hand. I'm not going to start pitching cards to frog yet, but I will once we get a little farther into the game. So this is not a case of us defeating our opponent. This is a case of our opponent defeating themselves by not having the right mana base, if you want to look at it that way, or however you want to look at it. I'm not going to pitch cards to frog. I'm going to play out another frog. I probably will start pitching lands here. Yep, we are piling on inevitability. They're going to go to discard if they don't find a land, and I wouldn't be surprised if they concede. Yeah, not a super exciting way to end the game. That second Wasteland was so lucky. Indeed. Vicent, I'm sorry our match ended this way. You're probably just playing a stock, relatively stock list. They showed me their hand. So they did have the delta. They did draw the delta eventually, but they weren't going to be able to brainstorm. And I think they dropped before I could say, sorry, it ended that way. I knew your hand. Yes, you knew my hand. Okay. Whenever people start typing you are instead of your, it's 2 extra keystrokes. It's like a split second. Anyway, sorry. I don't want to critique my opponent. They could be very educated and just be quickly typing off at me. Or they could be tilting. I don't know. I'm going to stick around for a second and see if they put any more tilted stuff. I don't think they will after I say good luck in the next ones. You too. Okay. So that was actually the last one for us, and we finished with a positive record. So, let's see. I think the list was pretty tight. This Painter matchup could have totally been a win. I just freaking punted like a moron when I could have force pitched a blue card in my hand, which would have been a fetch land. I did have a card to pitch with my force. It just did not occur to me that that was pitchable. And I think if I'd done that, I probably was 50-50, maybe 60-40 to win that game. So this could have been a 4-1 had I played tighter. I am not sure about some of the other matches, whether I played correctly. I do feel, let's take a look at the deck list. We didn't cast this card at all. And this is the 4th time I think I've tried to play with Nulldrifter. I've got a play set of the retro borders. I love the way it looks. A beautiful card. I have no doubt that this is good in other formats. Probably very good in Modern. I'm still not convinced. All my friends are like, oh, whoa, it's so good. Look at this situation where, but it feels like a win more card. It feels like a card we could cut. And if we cut it, then we could potentially bring one of these prismatic endings into the main deck where it can serve as vital additional removal. Or instead of having a prismatic ending in the main deck, we could bring in a Brazen Borrower, which is kind of a nice card to have in a tempo deck like this. Brazen Borrower, you can't really go wrong with it. And it's also kind of like a 3-drop that and I may hear people saying like, but oh no, like you're not getting enough value for having 4 Stifles in your hit deck and 4 Dress Downs. Like that's a big deck building commitment. But we saw lots of instances where Dress Down did good things. We saw some instances where Doorkeeper Thrull was relevant, like kind of like stuffing Bowmaster triggers. And I'm sure if we play enough, it's worth having in the deck. I definitely think it's worth having one of these in the deck. I don't know that it's necessary to have more. Dreadnought is an amazing card. I just completed my play set of them. I love it, and they're not these kind of like janky modern borders. They're the original, because it's a reserve list card. It's never been reprinted. I paid like $120 each for them, and I had one of them. So I got one on store credit from Boardwalk Games. Shout out to the Dallas local game store. Got one of those on store credit, and then I picked 2 off eBay for $120 each, and then I had one in my collection already. So yeah, I love this card. It's really strong. It's really strong with the card Curie. And I've been playing that at my weekly because it's not available in paper, but it's called Curie Emergent Intelligence. I love having access to Plow. It's just like so good. It feels so much safer than having a Fatal Push. Now, were we ever punished for not having a basic plains and for having this swamp in our deck? Absolutely. There was the game against Magus of the Moon where we just couldn't do anything. And we lost that game largely on the back of us having a non-basic heavy mana base. But were there games where Frog won us the game? Yes, absolutely. I think the splash for Frog is totally justified. And I love playing both of these. The deck is so blue. You don't really even care that much. Like both of these are splash colors, right? And I mean, if you take out the Doorkeeper Thrull, then it's like literally you're splashing for 4 frogs, 4 plows. But I do think Doorkeeper Thrull is worth keeping in. Part of it is like asymmetry. I don't like asymmetry, and it's like this compulsion thing. Like I don't like that they're the same number of duels for each color, but then we got 5 white cards and only 4, black cards. But I'll get over it. Now, a couple changes I made to my paper list. Originally played Sink into Stupor instead of the 9th fetch. I like the 9th fetch. I like Sink into the Stupor is one of those cards where, it does occasionally, bounce a removal spell back to your opponent's hand on some critical turn when you're attacking for lethal, but it does kind of feel win more. I'm sure there are situations where your opponent sticks like an Ensnaring Bridge and you feel like a Gigabrain genius for having it in your deck, but I'm not convinced it's necessary. So I like this clean mana base. I think if I had to make one change, it would probably be to put in a, even though this is a pure tempo deck and you do want to use your mana all the time, there were lots of times where we were just sitting there doing nothing, and it would have been really great to be able to fetch a Undercity Sewer. And because our black count is so low, like, it's probably never going to come up that like they wasted both of our underground seas and they have another wasteland in play, and now we have to fetch the Undercity Sewers, and oh no, like what are we going to do now? So I think that this is totally fine here. I love the Brazen Borrower. It's a mono blue threat. If somebody does stick the Harbinger of the Seas, no big deal. Like Brazen Borrower can flash in and he can race, or she can race. It can race a Resolved Harbinger of the Seas. So I think I'm going to run this back. I'm going to play some more leagues with it because it was fun. I like the power and explosiveness of Phyrexian Dreadnought against just straight aggro decks, even though we didn't end up playing against Eldrazi. Pretty good against Eldrazi. I liked having the Stifles in the deck, even though they're like in the final round, there were definitely situations where I felt our hand was chock full of Stifles and it was pretty bad. Obviously, Grafdigger's Cage was great because I just parked it there, and we don't know how many cards it shut off, but we can speculate that it shut off some of the removal spells in our opponent's deck. I wouldn't be surprised if they were just playing 4 Reanimate and weren't playing any Animate Dead, but it's not that bad. We probably overboarded if that's the case. I liked Tamio was always amazing, and I'm glad to have 4 over. I experimented with just having 3, but I think she's so good you want 4. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the deck. You could definitely trim down to just 3 Dress Down. That's another thing. Now that you've got Doorkeeper Thrull, like it can feel weird to have like 3 Dreadnoughts in your hand. If we do that, then I mean we could put in a second Brazen Borrower. It's a great card, right? I mean, like in a tempo deck where you're bouncing stuff back to their hand, this can remove like some critical blocker. This can bounce a Barrowgoy for something back to your opponent's hand and essentially time walk them. And it's just a straight blue card. And, everything in our deck, aside from the Psychic Frog and the Plow and the Doorkeeper Thrull, can be cast off of an island and like a wasteland, or an island and some land that's been turned into a mountain, right? Like that's one of the strengths of the deck is it is basically a mono blue deck that's doing a very light splash, and it can win as a mono blue deck because you can use colorless for the Dreadnought, blue for the Stifle, or you can use blue end step and you can put in the Dreadnought. I would say that if we're doing this, we might consider cutting Doorkeeper Thrull. Like you need probably 8 enablers for your 4 monsters. I don't know that you need 9. I could definitely see an argument for it. So here's what I'm going to do. Next time I play, I'm just going to do 1 Brazen Borrow. I'm not going to make too extreme of a change. And I'll do this. And again, to the Nulldrifter apologists out there, the fans of a Nulldrifter, again, I'm a fan of the card. I think it's great, but it's not good enough for Legacy right now, in my humble assessment of the card, having played quite a few leagues with it at this point. It just rarely comes out, and a lot of times it's just like one of those cards on the top of my deck when I'm pondering, and I'm just like, not good enough here, or there's like 2 Bowmasters in play and I can't use this, or it's like, when am I going to have the mana to cast this? And there's always the threat that they're going to Thoughtseize it and reanimate it, and then the game's just going to end. They can reanimate these all they want. They can reanimate, Tameo. Tameo's going to flip and come back over to my side. Frog being reanimated is kind of scary, but like Brazen Borrower bounces Frog back to your hand. Suddenly the Frog is friendly again, right? So anyway, in summary, very long post-league thoughts, but I think this list is solid, and I am definitely considering playing a Phyrexian Dreadnought list at Eternal Weekend, just because Phyrexian Dreadnought is quite good against aggro decks. Like it's really good against like Goblin strategies, Death and Taxes. It is a little weak to Plow. It's weak, the fact that people are playing a whole lot of Fatal Pushes. Like pretty much every deck that has black is playing 4 Fatal Pushes right now. So I think that the Tameo and the Frog can kind of run interference for Phyrexian Dreadnought, and Phyrexian Dreadnought can close. But one weakness of the deck is definitely like those situations when I was playing against Omnitell, and I really would have wished that this was like some sort of flash threat. Like I really would have much rather had a Bowmasters than a Phyrexian Dreadnought in that specific situation. And so I think that there's a very real chance that like we should just be playing like blue-black control. This is probably what I'm going to play in the challenge tomorrow. So you'll be able to see the showcase challenge. I'm going to record that. Unless I completely scrub out and just completely flame, I am going to publish that. So you'll know whether I completely flamed, whether there's a video of that. But most likely I'm going to be able to play, hopefully, all 6 rounds of Legacy tomorrow. And this will be like the real tournament. It won't just be people experimenting with decks on leagues. This will be like what people think are well-tuned decks for the entire like actual meta, and not just like, I probably don't need 2 Force Negations when I'm playing in that tournament, because there are going to be far fewer combo decks that require Force Negation to disrupt. But you do get a lot of Omnitell and a lot of like show and tell, a lot of crazy oops decks and stuff like that, and it is nice to have extra Force Negations in those matches. Anyway, I've talked a lot. I just want to wish you a fantastic day. Thank you again for tuning in. Thank you for liking. If you made it this far, please consider subscribing. Once I get to 1,000 subscribers, I can get in the partner program and I can play any deck with as many cards as I want. That'll be awesome. So consider subscribing. And again, be excellent to each other and party on.